Sandra all the time is here with a cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. We always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you.
Sandra all the time is here with a cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. We always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you.
Sandra all the time is here with a cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother.
That's true.
Come on.
And do we design the challenges in the hopes that Team Rambo will fail? I can neither confirm nor deny.
Do we know their weaknesses these days?
Can neither confirm nor deny. All right, it's 7:29 right now.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Hey, Sandy, how are you?
Good morning, Blake and Aaron. How are you guys doing this beautiful Thursday morning?
We are good. What do you got for us for headlines?
Fantastic. So we have local restaurateur, Mr. Luigi Moxham, having an arrest warrant out for his arrest.
What?
Yeah. So this
For what?
is Cayman Cabana. He was in court for some labor-related issues, non-payment of wages and holiday pay. And that wasn't really the worst part. I mean, some people break the law, yes. The worst part really was the fact that he didn't show up to court on not once, but two separate occasions in the court. The first time they issued the warrant and they stated, so in other words, hey, come to court, we'll be okay. And then he still didn't come to court on the second date. And so Magistrate McFarland reactivated the warrant. And yeah.
Wow.
You can't do that.
Yeah. So they're looking for him. So I understand he's off island anyway, but when you come back, just go turn yourself in. Save yourself trouble.
Well, they'll nab him at the airport when he comes back.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a murder case or anything. So, they'll probably wait until they can find him at work or something.
Aww.
But yeah, I mean, it's really important. We'll talk about this morning because I fancy there are things that have to do with the court that people just don't understand. Like you gotta show up. You can't not show up. So anywho, Handel Whitaker, congratulations to him.
Yeah, I saw this story. Wow.
Yeah, he's going to be operating Royal Palms Beach Club.
Oh yeah, I did see this. Yes, this is awesome.
Well, Royal Palms is coming back.
It's going to get a whole makeover. The site has sat vacant since 2020. I can't believe it's that long already. Some 4 years. Yep, the global pandemic didn't help. And so now they have a targeted reopening date of November 2024. They're going to refurbish a wooden deck constructed to the south of the existing pool area. And
they're going to have to do a lot of work.
I know.
Yeah, the beach is gone.
I think it's a little bit back now, but I don't know how much. I haven't been down there in a long time. But I mean, definitely the waves would be going over like a lot of damage to the structure.
So, hey, refresh us why Royal Palms closed. I
think that they were intending to do some renovations and then COVID hit. So,
I thought that it was purchased by Dart.
Yes, it is owned by Dart still. So he's going to be partnering.
And then I remember they were going to build. They built that tunnel, that bridge. And they were going to build like a Four Seasons hotel on top of it. Yeah. And then it was going to spread on down to the beach. I think that was the original plan, right?
Remember now he's formerly of Calico Jacks, right? Yes. So everything is kind of interconnected. But I mean, he's worked out a deal with the DART organization. Their senior vice president of development and planning, Robert Weekly, said that, they were looking at their long-term plans for the site. And they decided in the meantime, it was best to work with someone with an established track record in the industry on possible options. So apparently Mr. Whitaker expressed a desire to utilize the location and they got the ball rolling.
So now the tunnel there on West Bay Road is just now a hurricane shelter. That's what it's being used for.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Couple like a concrete bunker.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Couple tourism related news. Cayman officials met with Bermuda's transport ministry. They're trying to see how best they can collaborate. So their ministry in Bermuda met with some of our team members from Cayman. And they're saying they're looking at Bermuda's transport operations that could potentially inform enhancement to what the Cayman Islands has, which is very little, so wouldn't take much to enhance it. The meetings focus on Bermuda's public transportation infrastructure, including buses, ferries, and public service vehicles, and the regulatory framework supporting each component of their complex, multifaceted system. We'll see. I mean, they've been talking about transport for a while.
I fell asleep.
I'm not sure exactly what you did. What that regulations.
No offense.
Cayman joins the prestigious World Travel and Tourism Council. This should wake you up, sort of. WTTC is the global authority on the economic and social contribution of travel and tourism. So they have membership includes over 200 CEOs, chairpersons, and presidents of the world's leading travel and tourism companies globally across all industries. So congrats to the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism, which has just announced that the Cayman Islands has been accepted as a destination member of the WTTC. Yay!
All right.
All right. Let me see. These are pretty good, feel-good stories. I got two more, but they're going to dampen the mood this morning. Shall we just skip them for now?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. That sounds good, honey child. And don't forget, tomorrow we have, for those of you who are interested in solving some of Cayman's problems, or at least learning more about it, we're going to have regional economist and advisor, Miss Marla Ducran, on the program as a guest.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Sounds good.
Yes.
See you tomorrow for Friday.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good show.
We're rolling right into Friday. All right. Where did I put my jacket this morning? I know I had it. Oh my gosh. Hold on one second, folks. Be right back. All right, honey, chillin'. What's going on? There we go. Had to find my little jacket this morning. Looking okay. All right. Y'all behaving yourselves. Charging the phone a little bit. Didn't realize it was down to like 11% this morning. So let's get a couple charge bars on that beautiful phone. All right. Give me 1 second. Let me get Instagram going here. Good morning to everybody. Hope that you guys had a wonderful evening. Ooh. As we jump into some news this morning, we have a guest coming at what the hell? Oh gosh. Okay, so I just saw something in the Daily Mail. I'm like, ew, that's so disgusting. All right. Yeah. Certain things you just should not do, and that was just one of them. All right, let's grab the Instagram link and get those good folks over there going. They've been behaving lately, I must say. Good for them. I think they know Sandy not playing around. Auntie Sandy's like, block, 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 block. Bloop. All right, so good morning to all of you. How's everybody? Let's go ahead and get the show on the road. So let's talk about a few headlines, a few things making headlines this morning. Honey chill. I'll send out the link to all of my What's Up folks. Rise and shine. So I was walking Zeus this morning. He's being naughty on his morning walk. You know, I have a training collar on him, and I do use it. And this morning I didn't carry the remote control with me. Yes. Yeah. So he was naughty, didn't have the training collar, and he did not listen to me. I said, oh, I'm going to fix you. You're going straight to your kennel. I said, kennel. And you had to see him walking with his tail between his legs. I said, I don't want to hear it. You misbehave, there will be consequences. So, yeah, I put him right, and he's in timeout right now as we speak, and he's going to stay there until when the show's finished. Yep. Even your dog, sometimes you got to discipline them with a little bit of timeout, honey chill. Let me see now. I got to bring up my little TV in the background there. Okay. All right. So good morning to Senor Robert. We got the usual suspects, Diamond Princess. Thank you. Who are these gangsters? We're going to get to them, honey chill. Why does this, where's my flag? What? There we go. There we go. That beautiful Cayman flag. Isn't she gorgeous? All right. We're going to talk all about it, KK. Don't worry. Shaka Zulu, good morning to you. Happy Thursday to everyone. Good morning to Miss Stephanie Brooks. Barbara G in the house. Everton is here. Miss Morna, Wee Wee, Irvelin, all of our good students. Dean, Debbie, buenos dias to Miss Alba. Emmy's in the house. Olivia. Which money's running short? Patricia Blake is here. Miss Aline says, me early. Yes, girl, get it. Hello, Mr. Robert. Demary is joining us from New York. Siobhan is here. Marshall, Stephen from the UK, Siobhan Barry. A lot of people think that when I say Siobhan, another Siobhan, says people are always thinking that it's me. Remember that people can have more than one person can have the same name. Just FYI, just in case you didn't know. There's not an exclusivity on names. They totally spell it differently, though. But yes, people can have different names. Oh, let me fix my collar. My apologies. People can have different names. The same name, my apologies. And they can spell it differently. And sometimes they spell it the exact same way. And they're still not the same person. Yes, I'm just saying. Nobody has an exclusivity on names. There's very few people in this day and age who have like a very unique name that like nobody else has. Because, you know, once you start it, other people are going to grab onto it anyway. Like Apple. Who names their kid Apple? Now I'm sure there's a few people that have done so. Shells, good morning. Shields. Aliano, good morning to you. Says Jessia for a bit, Miss Sandy, it's too hot, but make it a bit hotter, yo. All right, we're bringing it to you. Barbara Smith is also here. Miss Iva, good morning. How you holding up, honey child? Condolences to Miss Iva and her entire family on the loss of their mom on Mother's Day, which was just so incredibly sad when I heard it. Luis, boy. Miss Annie is here. Debbie is in the house. Cynthia Parsons, good morning. Miss Cynthia, how you doing, honey child? Julia says, blessed morning. Lovely people. Yes. All right. Let's talk about some of the things that are going on. So a couple of headlines this morning. Some of you, child. Hello, Mr. Chalette. George Chalette in the house. Good morning. Some of you were a bit surprised by some of the headlines last night. And let's talk about it. Okay. All right, let's start with this one. Okay, we got quite a few headlines we haven't done in a while. We haven't really discussed them. All right. First one that's getting a lot of traction, warrant issued for Luigi Moxham. Let me explain what this is because it's worth an explanation so that you guys don't get confused. Good morning, Johan. Speaking of a Moxham. So this is a labor-related matter. Mr. Luigi found himself in a labor dispute. There's a lot of back and forth. And, you know, the details, I must admit, are very interesting. Not for nothing. But, you know, he hired this young lady to do bookkeeping and admin work. Although she has a master's degree in communications and marketing. Okay. I mean, it doesn't mean that she can't do bookkeeping and admin work, I guess. So he hired her back in 2022, around September. Apparently they had a conversation in August and, you know, she was in need of a work permit and he's like, oh yeah, I'll take out a work permit for you. Okie dokie. So they have a little agreement with each other. No written contract. Now this is always a mistake. I don't know if you're a seasoned business person, the one thing that you should do, take it from Auntie, put it in writing. It doesn't mean that there's still not a contract. I want to be very, very clear. An oral contract can be just as good as a written contract, but sometimes it might be challenging to prove elements of it. Just depends. Sometimes it's very easy to see what the parties agree to. But what happens is if you don't have a written contract, if there's anything specific that you want to say in the written contract that you don't have, and it becomes a matter, you know, a disputable matter, then normally what ends up happening is the labor law then kind of kicks in. So the labor law requires you to either have a written contract or working terms of working condition or something they call it. So in other words, the labor law requires something to be in writing. So if you don't have anything in writing, you know, this presents a little bit of an issue. All right. In this case, I don't think there was too much that was in dispute of what the agreement was between the parties. It's pretty straightforward. You're going to be doing bookkeeping primarily and some admin work. The young lady said that the agreement was that, you know, she would basically work from home because there wasn't any office space for her to work at Cayman Cabana. And I don't know, you know, anything about their setup, but she said there wasn't really any office space there. And there was, in her words, an overwhelming amount of documents. So, you know, there was no space for all these boxes and receipts and all kind of stuff. And so working remotely was what they had agreed upon. Yeah. So somebody said the labor law requires you. Yeah, you have an option. I mean, I can go back and actually look at it, but it's either a contract of employment or I think it's called conditions. Let me see now. I think there's a 2021 revision of the labor law. Yeah. So they do allow for something else called like terms and conditions or something like that. But basically, a written statement of working conditions. That's what it's called, right? And you're supposed to get this within 10 days, refer to Section 6 of the Labor Act for conditions and offense. So that is actually an offense in and of itself, but a lot of people don't do it, thinking that, it's pretty straightforward what should be done. Okay. So she starts working. She says there was no written contract, overwhelming amount of documents, lots of work. They agreed that she'd be making $3,500 per month to be paid bi-weekly. Out of the gate, she says there were a lot of unrealistic deadlines because basically it looks like he was behind on his accounts and he wanted all the accounting stuff for 2024 to be caught up. So he's looking for his bookkeeping reports for the year. She also took on the responsibility of preparing payroll. So this concept of unrealistic deadlines, I think, is very, very interesting. But she said, although she didn't have office hours, a lot of times she's working all day. She might work weekends. If he called outside of regular hours to get something done, she would still answer the phone and just get it done. Yeah. So there wasn't like, and it's interesting because a lot of people now are like, okay, work from home kind of arrangement since COVID. And you may not have a traditional 9-to-5 situation when you're working at home. In fact, what a lot of people have said to me, which I think is very, very interesting, is that you tend to find that people work more when they're working from home because there aren't these, it's not like, okay, everybody is leaving the office, get up and leave the office. We got to close up sort of thing. People get up earlier when they're working from home. So, they'll get up in the wee hours of the night, sometimes be like, oh, I can't sleep. Let me just jump on the computer and do some work. So I think a lot of employers get a lot of work out of people who are working remotely and working from home. They get up, there's no commute time. So they're not having to sit an hour in traffic for 5-6 hours. I'm exaggerating, of course. It's more like an hour, 45 minutes an hour. They just get straight to work. They grab their cup of coffee, have a little refresh, grab a shower, hopefully brush your teeth. And then all of a sudden you're on a Zoom call. You're doing this, you're doing that. The whole works. Yeah. So a lot of people actually have the opportunity to really get some proper work out of their staff if they're working remotely. Which, not for nothing, but did y'all hear that Amazon is letting go hundreds of executives and people who were working remotely are now being told to get your butt back in the office? What a mess. Anyway, so things are going along. About mid-January, apparently this young lady was told that she is working outside the terms of her work permit. Now, this is interesting, because this is actually a breach as well. This is a WORC breach, in fact, to have someone work outside the terms of their work permit. So I'm sure you guys understand the principles of how this works. You take out a work permit for someone. Say this person is a mechanic. You can't have the mechanic working as, your legal advisor. And the reason for it, I know a lot of people like, Sandy, can you explain these things? Because I don't really understand it. The reason is very, very simple. When you take out a work permit for someone and you provide a job description, number one, you're saying that you can't find a Caymanian to do that job. Number two, you're paying a work permit fee based on the position. Okay? So if you have someone in a position working, you claim that this is what they're doing, but then you have them doing all sorts of other things, immigration is going to say, hold on a second, you need to be paying additional work permit fees. Simple. WORC wants their money. So it is actually an offense, a criminal offense, to how people work outside the terms of their work permit, and you can get fined for this or worse. So those of you doing it, be very, very cautious. And I've seen this even when I was at Maples. Maples back in the day kind of was screwing up, and they had people doing this. And they, immigration, like, oh, we need to have a chat with y'all. Now, somehow they managed to smooth it over real quick. And I was like, Like they had a secretary who was doing IT work. Yeah, you can't do that. Okay. Anyway, apparently the issue was the work permit was put in for team leader, and the job description for team leader did not include bookkeeping. And it seems that a large portion of her responsibility was actually the bookkeeping work. So I don't know exactly what team leader is supposed to be doing, but evidently WRC launched an investigation, and they were of the opinion that something is amiss. So what he told her to do, this is a little bit shady, I got to be honest with you. He said to her, well, come in the office, start working in the office, because we're being investigated. This does smack of someone who's trying to circumvent the law, I'm going to be honest with you. So, start working in the office. If WRC comes by, then they'll see you working in the office. Okay. She also at that time was given a contract of employment. Suspicious much? We haven't seen the contract of employment, but I do wonder, what did the position say all of a sudden, this supposed contract of employment, and what job duties did it include? Anyway, the worker says that she, January the 18th, she started working at the office. She says that she was actually pressured to sign an employment contract because of this ongoing investigation. She said the problem with working in the office, though, is that at the end of the day, the equipment was out of date, slow computers, the scanner and printer weren't working half the time. And this was her quote in her complaint. She said she had a decline in productivity because I spent more time troubleshooting than doing actual work. Ay, what a hot mess. So, anyway, what really started to happen, according to her complaint, is that she saw Mr. Moxham acting belligerent towards employees. So much so that she actually said she got sick. Now, I want to talk about this because toxic work environments are a real thing. Obviously, he denies it. Luigi denies it, says this woman was just making stuff up to get sick time. I don't know who this woman is. I don't know anything about these people, but I do know what she said is that she was working overtime when required. She was submitting reports. She was doing the most to try to meet these unrealistic deadlines. She didn't seem like somebody who was lazy. But again, that's not something for me to determine. But what I do know is that DLP, when they conducted their investigation, they said that he made allegations about her competency and her work ethic, but never provided any form of evidence to support it. So if you had evidence to support it, this would have been the time to provide that to the Department of Labor and Pensions. And he didn't do so. So she said that she witnessed Mr. Moxham being really abusive with some of the staff, which caused her to be stressed. And I have a young lady that I work with who was recently in a similar situation as well. And I'm not going to be calling any names this morning. Hopefully it won't come to that. But she was also working on it was a third-party contract. So in other words, it was her company offering services. So what she said, though, the environment was so toxic. There was people, the owner of the company sitting there playing mind games with her, putting staff down, degrading staff, all this sort of stuff, to the point where she actually had to start taking her anti-anxiety medication again. So, a mother who during post-baby, postpartum depression actually had a prescription found that her anxiety level was so high in this toxic work environment after a month of being there that she had to go back on medication. And when she was pregnant, the postpartum, she was taking like a half a tablet. In this work environment, she ended up taking the full tablet. Company owners and managers, I think you have to be aware of how your behavior might not be professional and appropriate for the workplace. Some people think that because, I work in a non-traditional environment, like it's not a strict office. Maybe I own like a warehouse, or, I'm dealing with drivers and different, it's not like a law firm, that they don't have to act a particular way. And that's not correct. Belittling people in front of other workers, calling them in the office and reprimanding them in front of other people, and then having those people laugh at them and make jokes about this stuff. This is people's mental health in the workplace. And this is a really serious issue in Cayman that unfortunately a lot of employers are doing. They're engaging in this type of behavior and they are not addressing it. All the way from government. I've had government workers step up, say, Sandy, this department is toxic. This office is toxic, straight down to private sector environments as well. So in this particular case, the young lady said that, she was very stressed out by what she witnessed happening to other people. And in fact, this is what she actually said. He shouted and hurled insults, and I thought he would get physical with the staff. This caused me to be in fear, and I did not feel comfortable working from the office because the abuse was constant whenever he was present. Wow. I mean, I'm disappointed to hear that, because one thing I know for sure is this is not how you treat people. I mean, I've been, a business owner now for 20 something years, I think. I'm lost count by now. But, I've never, I can be a very strict person, no two ways about it, but I have never hurled insults at workers, 21 years. I've never hurled insult at workers. I can't even imagine actually doing something like that, because I suppose, although I haven't exactly been in that toxicity myself, not for those reasons, I can't fathom what it must be like to have to go to work every single day and have that burden on you. And people respond very, very differently to stressful situations. So this other young lady that I'm telling you about, this one example, when she ended up quitting and resigning, she said it took her a minute to even process what was happening to her in the workplace. Like, this person was saying things to her that made her mistrust other people. Oh, you got a target on your back and you better be careful. I mean, all this stuff that, people who are, especially non-Caymanians, but even Caymanians, like somebody tell you, oh, you've got a target on your back and you better be careful. The very bread in your mouth is going to be taken away from you. If you say stuff like this to people, they don't even know what you mean by that. And you could see how they would take that quite literally and be afraid. And why would you say something like that to someone? It begs, there's a lot of questions, quite frankly, that flows out of this sort of behavior, but this is unacceptable behavior. And I don't really care who is engaging in this type of behavior. It's completely unacceptable. This woman says this is what was happening. It was constant. What a hot mess. She said she had to go to the doctor as a result of the stress, and she actually lost 4 or 5 kilos in 3 weeks. I had to look that up because I'm not familiar with kilos. So that's roughly about 10 pounds in 3 weeks. That's a lot of weight. Normally, even if you're trying to lose weight, you can't lose 10 pounds in a month unless you're doing something. If you're in drugs, you can lose that kind of weight. But 10 pounds in 3 weeks is really indicative of someone who is under a lot of stress. And not for nothing, Carla says, thank you, Sandy. Not for nothing, folks, but stress can kill you, quite literally. I mean, quite literally. You can have a cardiac arrest from stress. It can slowly kill you over time. Stress makes your hair fall out. It does all sorts of things to you. Someone just messaged about the toxic work environment. They say, happens to me every day, and I stay because I'm an expat and I need to work for my kids. I'm on 2 different anti-anxiety medications. Never had to take those until I started this job. I love my job, but my bosses suck. Oh my God. That's horrible. Really, really horrible. Anyway, things go on. She said the final straw was in February when there was an episode actually involving her. So now it goes from not just watching other people being subjected to this type of, behavior, but now it was directed at her in February. And it stemmed from the fact that she had submitted a report, a pension report, which he had unrealistic expectations about because he didn't give her adequate information to complete the pension report. And then he got really upset when it wasn't done to his liking. And she's like, she's attacked all of a sudden verbally and whatever. And that was the last straw. So again, she had to go to the doctor, take time off, got a doctor's note. And she decided that since the contract was ending sometime in March anyway, to simply give her notice and end the employment agreement at that time. So after she ended the employment agreement, there was some money owed. She apparently, I guess, tried to get the money, got nowhere, made contact with the Department of Labor and Pensions. They reached out, as they would normally do, to Mr. Moxham, said, hey, this lady's claiming that this money is owed. She also made mention of the fact that in September and October of 2022, she basically had trouble getting her money sometime. So it might have been like a partial payment, and then she had to try to chase him for the rest of the money. Okay. Anyway, she comes up with a figure of like $3,200 and change to say this is what she believes is owed. Normally what DLP will do is they'll call the employee, say, hey, this is what has been filed. Come on in, let's have a meeting and talk about it. They offered Luigi this opportunity. He said, yep, I'm coming. I'm going to come in on, what date was that? April the 6th? Oh, no, hold on. No, let's go back. May the 9th of 2023. He said, yep, I'll come in with you guys. I'll bring all my documents. We can work this out, blah, 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 blah. And then he doesn't show up. Not for nothing, but if an agency like DLP, who has enforcement powers, they can do certain things, right? So they can come into your company and demand all of your employee records. And some of y'all, you definitely need this to happen because y'all are not keeping records. It shows that you're not paying pension, you're not paying insurance. They can actually come in and basically say, we're here to look at your records, provide them kind of thing. I mean, you have to follow their orders. They have certain powers now. You need to make sure you're familiar with what the law says. And it's actually an offense to refuse to provide them with documentation. So he didn't show up for the meeting. Then the end of the month, so the meeting was May the 9th, May 31st, he sent them an email and said, oh, I'm off island. And he would resolve it upon his return. Well, needless to say, it wasn't resolved. Another email was sent in June. And from him, by June the 6th, this is where he called in to question the woman's character and her attendance and saying, oh, no, she's lying, blah, 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 blah. And he offered to pay her $500 in settlement of the whole thing. From her claim from $3,200 to $500, you can see where there's a big divergence between the two parties. So she said, no, thank you. Take him to court, please. I'm willing to go the full 9. So the LP said, okay. Took the file to court. Now, here's what's interesting. Once the court process starts, let me advise you all. You can take your chances ignoring agencies like DLP. What you should never do is ignore court orders or what the court has to say. So at first he said he was going to represent himself in this matter. And I think eventually Furness came on board to kind of give him a hand because he must have not been doing a good job of representing himself. And he had a number of court dates, right? Back and forth, here's the bundle, you show up, blah, blah, blah. At some point, it looks like March the 27th, this year now, he agrees, okay, I'm going to pay this money. The amount was reduced somewhat, $810.50 for vacation, another rounding it up, $1,200 for outstanding pay. He said he was going to make a final payment of 1458.9 on April the 6th. So March, he admits, okay, I'm just going to pay it. That means now you've wasted about 3-4 court dates already. You say you're going to pay it, provide banking details. He was provided with the banking details and he never paid it. Go back to court a second time. Some excuse was given. Oh, no, I'm going to pay it. I'm going to pay it. Send the banking details again. All right. Now, the court starts to wonder. This is what DLP says. It is clear from the accounts of both parties that there are breaches of the Labor Act 2021 revision. He provided no evidence to discredit the claim despite emailing allegations. So, you tell the court you're going to do something, you should do it. Because if you don't do it, you're going to find yourself in a whole heap of trouble. The court does not take kindly to people who waste their time, who say, yes, I'm going to do this, and then do nothing at all. On the 17th of March, he had another court hearing to say, why haven't you paid the money? We've given you now the bank account information on 2 separate occasions. It still hasn't been paid. What the heck is going on here? And he doesn't show up. Now, when you're summoned to come to court, you show up on that list. That is your summons. The judge will say, and they even give you little cards now. They're quite good with this, I must say. A lot of magistrates, they have little like reminder cards because people are like, oh man, I forgot I was supposed to be in court. That's no excuse. So they'll give you a little appointment card. The bailiff, not the bailiff, I guess is that the bailiff that sits with the judge, like escorts the judge and stuff? I guess they are bailiffs. He'll write it down, this date, whatever. Make sure you come. Okay, ma'am. Okay, sir. And you have an obligation to come to court, even if it's just for mention of your matter. He didn't show up on April the 17th. And the marshal, my apologies, not a bailiff. Marshal, thank you very much. The judge, the magistrate, summary court is magistrate, issued a warrant for his arrest because it is an offense to not come to court. So that judge was feeling really, really nice because they issued the warrant, but then they stayed the warrant. So they're like, okay, don't execute it. Mr. Furness, go find your client. Tell him he has to come back on the 24th, the following week. Tell him to get his act together. He's got to come back to court. Exactly 1 week later, from the 17th to the 24th. And guess what happens? On the 24th, he doesn't show up again. Now, Magistrate Philippa McFarland, she's probably not the best one to, ignore orders of the court with. And so she said, I see that last week we had a bench order basically for his arrest. Go and arrest him. She activated that arrest warrant. Now the Popo, they're a little bit slow because they should have served him already because he was supposed to be in court on the 8th of this month. Had they served it on him, but they're taking their sweet time serving it on him for whatever reason. So they haven't served it on him because he's supposed to come back to court last week. So he was in the court list for last week for sentencing. Because now that he has demonstrated to the court that, I am not going to pay this. I am not going to even show up to court. The court is like, okay, well, you can make those decisions, but you're not going to make those decisions without any consequences because now we will sentence you and we are also going to issue a compensation order. So the court is going to force you by compensation and then they're going to ask you to produce documents. They need to show, where's your money, this, that, next thing. It's not even worth it for this amount of money to actually ruin your name like this. I think this is really a disgrace. But this says a lot about an individual who ignores a court order on more than one occasion. Doesn't even show up. You tell the court you're going to pay into, you're going to settle this matter, you're going to pay it. And then, you don't do it and you're traveling and living your best life. Okay. So he has a warrant out for his arrest. So I'm hoping that, I'm sure he's heard by now that there's a warrant for his arrest, although the police haven't notified him. The police have to update the warrant. The interesting thing is with the warrant now, they've actually issued, he'll be released on bail on his own recognizance, but they want, a surety of $950 from another person. Johan, I know you kind of on the cheap side, but you better go sign that surety document for your brother. And he has to also act as his own surety, so to speak, with another $950. It's not an actual amount. Somebody was asking me about this, how bail conditions work. It's not like a physical amount that you pay in, but if you don't show up the next time, then you're going to have to pay it. So somebody's going to be out of money. So hopefully, young man can get this together. I mean, it's a rather simple matter at the end of the day. These types of things are not worth messing up your name over. And I think you should just sort it out. All right. Reset says, I've known Luigi since middle school, and he always been a very kind and helpful and not an aggressive person. So suffice it to say, this is very surprising to hear. Well, I mean, maybe in the work environment, he's a totally different person, because this wouldn't be the first time that Luigi has had labor-related matters before the court. In fact, if you read the article, you would see back in 2019, he had over 35 charges for failing to pay pension. So at the very minimum, I think that maybe, and trust me, the restaurant business is one of the toughest businesses, in my opinion, to be in. I think that, he struggles with running a business and doing all the admin stuff. And that is really, really important, because you can't ignore those things, unfortunately. They're a very important part of being a business owner. And you end up hurting people when you ignore those things. Somebody said he's going to F around and end up in jail. Symphonies of the Sea says antidepressants good for you, but weed isn't. Nobody said the antidepressants were good for you. But if somebody has to take medication to deal with stress, it is what it is. By the way, Symphony of the Seas, in case you may have forgotten, we do have a moratorium on this weed discussion. So let's not go there today, because you shall get blocked. Simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, Johan says, and I know why you're doing this as a headline. I should have apologized more yesterday. Oh, poor little Johan. Well, first of all, Johan, this ain't got nothing to do with you. I mean, I don't know if your brother would listen to you or not. I think he's younger. He's younger than you, right? So I don't know if you can give him business advice or not. You're also a business owner. But this is family, but you can't control what your family members do. Hello, do we not know that? I know that myself. This is news. And I could prove to you, Johan, because I figured you'd probably think this has something to do with yesterday, but it has absolutely nothing to do with it. In fact, I could prove to you that the file was requested long before yesterday. You see? Ding, 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 ding. Ain't got nothing to do with you and what happened yesterday. So don't get all up in your feelings, honey Jill. KK says writing is key. Good morning, Sophia. Catherine in the house. Julia says, Miss Sandy, can these labor laws be found online? If so, please share the link. Yes. In fact, Julia, all laws can be found online. So sometimes if you're just looking for something very, very specific, the best place to go is to the governing websites, like in this case, DLP. Go to their website and you'll find all of let me show you guys, this is a teachable moment. I'll show you guys exactly where this stuff is located. So if you go to DLP, and this is a general formula for most of these like agency websites and stuff like that, and they'll have the latest version of the legislation so that you don't get yourself all confused. I saw Jim saying it's a 2023 revision. It actually isn't. The one that is still in force is a 2021 revision. So if you go to the DLP website, you will see here under the tab that says resources. So most of them have a resources tab. They have legislation, brochures, FAQ, public awareness training, forums, FOI, guidance notes, calculators, invitation tenders, all this stuff. So if you click on legislation, it says for ease of reference, refer to the legislation in respect to the department below. I'm going to screenshot it because that's a little bit small to see. And so it has here all of the relevant legislation in relation to this. So just to be clear, Johan, when from our perspective, because Johan's like, why is this even used? Not many people get a bench warrant issued for their arrest. This is unusual because not many people have the nerves, quite frankly, to disobey a court order on multiple occasions. So this takes a special kind of gumption that your brother must obviously have. So that alone makes it newsworthy. So here's all the relevant legislation, folks. So Miss Julia, I will grab the link here and I'll paste it in the comment section. Feel free. This is how we learn. Is feel free to share with everybody else. So they've got the gratuities distribution regulations, Labor Act 2021 revision, minimum basic wage order, occupational safety and health for the construction industry. Y'all need to read that, construction people. Labor tribunal members remuneration regulations, stuff about pensions. It's all here. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Very good. So the lesson and takeaway here, respect the court. The court issues an order. You don't have to like it, but you better follow it because you will find that you get yourself in a whole heap of trouble if you don't. Good morning, Miss Dee Dee. Good morning, Miss Hilda. Aliano says the Trump effect. First Lady Jeanne say, I feel it for that lady, as I've been through that situation. What I did was speak my mind, never cared if I was fired or not. My mental health is very important to me, period. Yeah, I mean, in her case, she just decided it was best to just resign. She couldn't be bothered. Marcia says, I can attest to that one. I love my job, but my boss is a pain in my you-know-what. Marshall says, I can see him being verbally abusive. He looks like he can be that type of person from just observation. Oh, what a mess. Marcia says she's about to walk off of her job. You know, sometimes you got to leave without a doubt. I can tell you, what is my computer in the background here doing? Yeah, sometimes folks, leaving is the gift that you give to yourself. That is the best thing, in fact, that you can do is just leave the toxic situation. Thank you, Shaka Zulu, for reminding Symphony of the Seas, who might not be aware of it. Aliana says, record everything going forward. Good morning to Miss Olive. Live Happy says, many bosses still adhere to the 80s mentality of business management under which they were trained. Well, some people were not even alive in the 80s. So I don't even know where that comes from. All right, hold on one second here, folks. Got a caller in the line. Good morning, caller. Oops, hold on one second. Let me just replug it in. I was trying to get a little charge going here. Oh, hold on. Did it pick up? Hello, caller?
Hello.
Hi, there you are. Good morning.
Hi, Sandy.
Morning, dear.
Good morning. Yeah. What I learned when I just came to the Cayman Islands is that it's not your word against your employer. And what I did then, you know, they had these little tape recorders that reporters used to use. Every time I go into a meeting, I carry one of those. Everybody nowadays is walking around with a smartphone, and it seems as we make the phones smarter than us. All these things that are going on, you just click your phone and record, and it records everything. All the abuse that is going on. So when it comes to time to prove, it's their word against them. And all persons who are experiencing this, that's what they have to do. You just tape. So it is easy and simple to prove your case.
And you know what is so sad? Because just the other day, we were talking about, this young lady said that she essentially had similar issues, and we were the one at the Ritz, and she recorded it. And it's so interesting because her employers were claiming, oh, she's got a bad attitude and she was getting aggressive during the meeting. But her recording demonstrated something completely contrary to what they were saying.
Right.
And then when I intervened and I contacted somebody at the DART organization on her behalf, and I said, hey, this Caymanian, yes, she's a Jamaican, but she has status. She's got children here. She's trying to better herself. This is what's going on. When they called over at the Ritz, oh, no, not my apologies, not the Ritz, the Kimpton. No, she's aggressive and we have issues and da-da-da-da. And the HR person who was saying that got it from the Filipino supervisor in accounts, and the Filipino supervisor in accounts apparently is a bold-faced liar. Because if you listen to the recording, as you rightfully said, the recording shows something completely different. And, if there was no recording, it would be he shed, she shed.
Right.
Yes. So, I'm not going to pretend to be a legal expert because I'd have to do a little bit of research on this, on what the legalities are of recording conversations, because normally there are laws governing that, but it depends on what you intend to do with it. Yes. And so, a lot of people are finding now that they're just trying to cover their own backsides. And I hate to say it, but you have to do it. Thank you, caller.
Okay.
Very, very sad situations, right? Live Happy says some individuals may not be suited for business ownership. They tend to panic and become abusive when faced with financial pressures. Wasn't there also, remind me, because again, this isn't Luigi's first time at the rodeo. Didn't he own Breezes? And also had issues with Breezes. Remember Breezes was located, this was the one that was upstairs. Oh, what's that building called? I don't even know, but the one that's like really on the waterfront, and Breezes was upstairs there. Didn't he have a bunch of issues with Breezes and labor related complaints and stuff as well? Eventually Breezes closed down, but listen, I think it's a fair point to maybe consider that he's, Luigi, I know you keep trying, but maybe you need to admit to yourself that restaurant business is tough. Sharkins? I thought it was Breezes. Anyway, maybe this just isn't for you. Find something else to do. Someone says Luigi did this to Donovan Taylor as well, and he has receipts. Oh, Donovan was the Caymanian who used to work there, right? And I think he ended up settling and paying that also through the court. This person says, morning, Sandy, I agree. Why mess up your name for that small amount of money? Just doesn't even make any sense. Yes, I remember hearing this story about Donovan Taylor, and then there was accusations about, oh no, you just had an axe to grind, blah, blah, blah. Well, at some point, it can't be that everybody has an axe to grind where you keep finding yourself in court with these labor type issues. And they are pretty straightforward. The labor department didn't find anything. Well, you didn't provide any evidence of anything you said, but they obviously didn't think that your position was credible. Yeah, what a mess. Okay. So, can you ask, this person says, Sandy, can you ask Sandra about taping your employee-employee conversation if they're aggressive towards you? Want to know if it's legal. Oh man, this is such a good question. Okay, let me see if I can ask. This is like phone a friend, ask a lawyer. Hold on, let me see if I can find out. I'm going to message a few people who might be more familiar with this component of the law. Like I said, in my mind, I want to say that it depends on what you intend to do with it, as I recall. So I'll get an answer. Okay. This person says Luigi's problem is he wants to live a famous and bossy life. Well, listen, I've seen this young man around the place, and I think he works hard. You know, I've seen him at the restaurants and he's trying and stuff. But you know, sometimes there's much more to being a business owner than that. I mean, sometimes you can work awfully hard and that simply isn't going to, it's not going to cut it. Like you need to understand or have people surrounding you who understand a thing or two about budgeting and accounts and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And if you keep hemorrhaging money, whether it's on employees, you know, restaurant businesses, like I said, you got equipment that you got to keep up. You have food. Food is not cheap to purchase. And then chefs to cook it and resell it and all this kind of stuff. Maybe despite your best efforts, this just isn't the business for you. This person says he thinks he's untouchable, arrogant much. And he's going to end up in jail if he's not careful. So I don't know what advice I can give you except pay it. You told the court that you were going to pay it. Get it paid and, you know, show up to court. When they issue the warrant now, don't play around. Because if you play around and you don't, you know, you don't do what you got to do, the court will send you a very clear message. You know, I've seen the court do this with a young man. He came there. He showed up. He wasn't coming. Then he showed up late for this court date. And he had this attitude, but, oh, I was having a panic attack and I don't care about the court. And the judge said, lock him up. The judge said, lock him up. They sent him to Northwood for the weekend because he did not show up to a court date. This thing keeps restarting in the background. If you think the court can play with you, I can assure you that they ain't playing with you. There will be times when they're going to send you a clear message that not today, Bobo. And they locked his behind up for the weekend. And they said, try us again if you bright. I was like, damn. Dominique says Luigi is like any of us Caymanians out there trying to make it. We all need a little help and a whole lot of guidance, Auntie. Well, like I said, I mean, he's got a family full of business people who are supposed to be smart and savvy. So hopefully he can get some help. Shaka Zulu says, don't hurt the messenger. She's blocked folks before. I'm just here to let you know. Yes, honey child, make sure. Strong Will says, good morning, Sandy. Where's Johan this morning? This is so bad. Again, Johan is not responsible for his brother, to be fair. You know, and I'm sure if Johan was going to call in this morning, he would be on the lawful side of things and say, hey, Auntie, you report on everybody else. And the law is the law, and it is designed to be followed regardless of who you are. I'm sure that's exactly what Johan would say. You know, regardless, although it is his brother. Let's talk about another court case. The bakery, Caribbean Bakery, owing people money. So, you know, another thing you can't do when you're in business is not pay your bills. And it's hard. It's hard out in these streets. Like I said, you know, businesses, you have the best of intentions and you got all sorts of, you know, expenses out there. You can never, when you sit down and write a business plan, I know that probably 90% of you never do that. You can never anticipate all of the business expenses that you have. This is why you should really sit down and do a proper SWOT analysis, even get financial assistance. You know, not financial assistance, financial advice. You might need financial assistance too, but get financial advice about, is this going to be a viable business for me in this particular market right now? And these are the expenses that I'm looking at. Get someone to help you, like an accountant with the money side of things. I'm not good with accounting. I'll be the first to tell you that. You know, get an accountant to help you figure out and do projections based on what you anticipate. And there are things that can happen in any given marketplace that will completely throw off your projections. Ms. Aline says, do not support anyone in their wrongdoings, family or not. So sometimes that's required. So Telecom Solutions, who is Telecom Solutions, by the way? What do they trade as? Because I've never even heard of them. Anyway, they've been suing a few people lately for outstanding money. Telecom Solutions. They are... Who is Telecom Solutions? Hold on. Let me see. Normally they have these names, but then they're trading as somebody else. Anybody knows who they are? Steve Scott. So they're not because it almost sounded like they were a telecom provider. Like, I don't know. They're not C3 or any of those people. Flo, no. I have no clue who they are. Never heard of them. Anyway, I guess they provide telecom related services because they sure are suing people. So they filed a lawsuit against Caribbean Bakery and its directors for unpaid invoices for a top-up kiosk amounting to over $11,000. According to the court documents filed earlier this month, Telecom Solutions, which supplies self-service top-up kiosks and wholesale retailer-operated top-up tablets within independent retail locations, agreed to install this self-serve kiosk at Caribbean Bakery retail premises. Now, this is a location, as far as I remember, in West Bay where McRuss has taken over. Yes? So in 2021, Caribbean Bakery's business assets were sold to McRuss. However, Telecom Solutions is unaware of any assignment or transfer of the debt to McRuss. So you can buy assets, a building, take over somebody's lease, but you're not necessarily taking over their debt. So they did acknowledge it by way of a partial payment in 2021 of over $1,500. And despite multiple attempts, they say, to contact Caribbean Bakery to request further payment, the balance due has not been paid. So they are now suing for over $11,000, claiming liquidated damages for $11,292.33. So these types of situations, debt, this is very, very straightforward. I mean, you owe somebody money, you got to pay the money. They send you a bill, send you an invoice, you got to pay it. But somebody mentioned this morning that they thought that all of the directors of Caribbean Bakery have passed away. I mean, I don't know anything about Caribbean Bakery, to be fair. So I really cannot, I really can't comment on that. But, this dude looking for his money, whether you're dead or alive, I guess. So somebody should try to reach out to them. So I don't know what to tell you, except, lots of people getting sued, honey chill. So there you go. Caribbean Bakery, pay bills. All right. Galaxy Quest says, I hope Johan is joking, because if not, it gives me pause and wonder if this is the kind of person as a representative. Anyone who thinks with that level of paranoia can be dangerous with power. Or you mean when he thinks that because of what happened yesterday? Yeah. And like I said, it might be hard for him, and it is paranoia. It has to be paranoia because it's not facts. It's, yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with me, honey chill. We report on these types of cases all the time. Like I said, we've reported on your brother before as well. So, it is what it is. There's a lot of infractions when it comes to labor, and y'all really need to stop it. The law needs to be changed where some people start going to jail for non-payment of pensions and insurance. And I think you're going to find that that's going to fix the situation real quick. Remember when Lonnie Tibbetts was running the labor department for a minute, and he used to publish, kind of naming and shaming them, and he used to publish the list of people? I believe that that is something that should return. Because if you are an employee or a potential employee of a company, and you're thinking about going to work for someone, shouldn't you have a right to know that this company has outstanding pension and health insurance payments that they haven't made? I think that that's only fair. Ooh, we should make that our trivia question of the day. What do y'all think? Trivia question of the day? Yes. Do you believe that employees should be made aware of labor infractions, current labor infractions, by their potential employer? I think so. Let me see how to word that now. I got to word that simply. Let me see. Should we name and shame? Should we name and shame employers for breaches of the labor law? How about that? Yes? No? Okay. What do you guys think? I'll put the barcode up here for you to vote. Because, then it puts the ball in your court as a worker for you to decide, wow, do I really want to take a chance with this company who has like 35 infractions already for not paying staff? That says something potentially about their financial position. Because once you're behind on these types of things, it is infinitely difficult to get caught up. So go ahead and scan the QR code and vote in today's poll question. All right. There we go. Maybe I should edit that. Hold on. Should we name and shame employers for breaches? Okay, hold on. And where's the edit button? Edit. Should we name and shame employers for breaches of the labor law? There we go. My little back scratcher coming in handy today. 83% so far say yes. Those of you who say no probably are the ones who are breaching the law. Just saying. Okay. It makes you shape up real quick though. And I think, like I said, employees should be aware of what they're getting themselves into. All right. Give me 1 second for my Instagram folks. Hold on 1 second here. Let me just restart the Instagram feed real quick. So every hour we have to restart that. Honey chill. Okay. Sometimes that's all that keeps people accountable is the public shame of it all. They think, oh my God, somebody's going to know. So let me just toe the line. It's unfortunate because you think that they would have, just be a good business person and decent business acumen. And that should drive the decisions that you make, but it doesn't always. So there you have it. Strong Will says he thinks that he's above the laws. Well, nobody is above the laws, folks, to be very, very clear. Damien says many of these government websites and law changes are outdated. It misleads the public and causes people confusion, a waste of time and money. I'll admit that has happened before. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. And anytime I make an observation of something being out of date, I will notify the relevant individuals. Because yes, they should be, especially with the legislation section, they should be keeping it up to date. Good morning to Miss Lucille. She says, keep on preaching and praying. Judgment is coming in on the ship. Go meet it at the Georgetown dock. Okay. Good morning. Cameron is here. You're on YouTube today. Cameron, good morning to Miss Pat. Damien says coworkers can be abusive also, especially if you start exposing their dishonesty and laziness and they see you as a threat of getting promoted. And you know what, Damien, the bosses, whether it's HR, whoever else, they set the tone for that type of thing. So if they make it very, very clear that that's not acceptable behavior, then, no one under you who works for your company can be harassing people sexually or otherwise if you don't condone it. If you own a company or you're the boss, you're in charge of HR, if you don't condone it, it can't happen under your watch. Miss Elaine says, what's with this aggressive behavior from Filipino supervisors? My sis and nephew went through hell with them at their workplace. Thank you, Janelle. Says it's now Sharky's. Oh, yes. Okay. I think he's at Crack Barrel and Crack at Pedro. Yeah, he also has Crack and Barrel, I think. That's called the Landmark Building. Thank you, Miss Lisa. Could not remember. Cameron says couldn't pull that with Donnie. Did Donnie ever get his money? Did he get it sorted out? Siobhan says shouldn't mess up your name no matter the size of the money. Stephanie says some of these employers, people I water is on their heads. They will never prosper. Miss Elaine says some employers have cameras and audios on their employees. Oh, wow. So why shouldn't the employee record them? Interesting question about recording devices in general. I think, says Damien, I would think you do that hidden. If you ask, they will not be normal and aggressive, but it is legal to record without letting the person be aware. Like I said, I'm gonna double check what the legal. It's probably a common law position, but I'll try to see what I can find out. Who is Mario? Mario needs to slap some scent into Luigi. Who's Mario? My grandfather would say, see me and come live with me are two different things. So Strong Will, good morning to Felipe. Miss Faith is here. Ingrid says, Sandy, when Cash was unfairly fired me and my two Cayman co-workers, I had recorded what they were saying and Labor Board told me they can't listen to it because I didn't notify the regional manager, Thief, and the HR that I was recording their lies that they were saying. Labor Board didn't believe us and let them get away with it. Well, that's another company that oh God, trust me, I know firsthand. They have been involved in some serious breaches over the years. And it seems like nothing ever changes with them in terms of the ownership, because they always had new owners, but nothing seemed to change, honey Joe. Sadly enough. So incredibly unfortunate. They've been dishonest for a minute. And again, if you're someone thinking about getting a job there, I would suggest you think twice. Whether you're Cayman or not, doesn't matter. Think twice about getting a job there because they are, they've demonstrated in the past that they're just not good people to work for. Bunch of corporate gangsters and criminals. All right, we're talking about gangsters and criminals here today. Lots of them put on suits and Cayman kind shirts, and they still gangsters, but in a different kind of way. They provide the top-up machines. Oh, so they provide the machines themselves, and then then you can top up with Digicel and Flow. I see. Okay. Yeah, I've never even heard of them, so I don't know who they are. So they do the hardware and support. Interesting. Thank you very much. Appreciate the info. Miss Olive says, yes, they've all passed away now. So I don't know who took over the company or who benefited from whatever was left, but maybe, see what you can do. Cameron says CUC is having issues with their pay point locations. How can payments get backed up for months upon months? I'm not sure. Let me ask CUC this question because I don't know that I understand the question. When you say pay point locations, what does that mean? Like when you go to a gas station and pay it? Let me send this to them. Oh, you guys are so ridiculous. I'm sitting here talking about who the hell is Mario? Somebody said Mario and Luigi. I was like, oh shit. Y'all are ridiculous. As in the game console, Mario and Luigi. The Italian plumbers, Mario and Luigi. Y'all are not easy. That joke was completely lost on me. I'm sorry. Yes, name and shame them, says Marshall. Every single one of them, says Cameron. Apoc447 says, they should be put in jail first, laughing out loud. Ingrid says, Sandy, I had sent you what happened to us at Cash was very similar, or I should say worse than this. Please dig into it. I had sent you all the names. Well, you got to send more than names. You got to send the documents and stuff. And I'm surprised to hear that the Labor Department refused to do their job just because they said they wouldn't listen to recording. But this goes to show you why you need to have some evidence. Like, I don't know the nature of the allegations, to be clear, but if it's related to pay and lack of pension, whatever. But I know in the past that company has also struggled with doing stuff like paying their workers. Like I said, I provided services for that company, and boy, those are some tough days. Their former owner actually was sentenced to like 40 years in jail for some other scam that he had been involved in the US. And Donald Trump pardoned him and let him out of jail. Boy, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the biggest US gangster running right now. That guy, woo! I can't believe that of all the millions of people that live in the United States of America, the best that you guys can get is Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Neither one of them stellar for sure. But just on the legality of things, I would take Biden any day over Trump, because Trump does not care about laws. You saw the other day that the judge was about to imprison him because he kept breaching the court order in his current case. Again, when you disrespect the court is going to play with you. So he's been fined, and the judge told him, if you keep this up, you're going to go to jail. He don't care. And that's really, when someone doesn't have any respect for the judiciary and for our laws and for process and procedure, these are not people that you want in public office. I'm just saying. I mean, they're gangsters. Make them be business gangsters, and then the law will deal with them. He's already been found guilty of numerous things. You know, over $400 million he got paid for this breach and that breach, whatever. Stay in that arena. Don't become a public official. You know, he showed up to an event the other day and told these people that if you contribute $1 billion to my campaign, it was an environmental situation. If you contribute $1 billion, I'm going to erase all of this legislation that offers environmental protections and let you do whatever the hell you want. Ruin the environment for $1 billion campaign donation. Even the people who were there, I think it was the oil industry, they said they were shocked when he said it. That they could not believe it. Anthony says that's not a bad idea. It'd be a better excuse for them not to hire Caymanians. They will just say no one applied. I'm sorry, I must have missed what that was in relation to. What's not a bad idea? It will be a better excuse for them. I'm missing something, Anthony. Clarify that for me. Morning, Perla. How are you? Andrew says MBI underpay overworked employees. MBI being Miracle Brokers? Underpay and overworked employees. So here's the thing with payment, right? If you agree, and this is where you have to be careful, to a particular salary, and you don't know the scope of the work, or if the work exceeds what you thought it would be, then you need to know your worth. But once you agree on a salary, if you say, okay, I'm going to do this work for $10 an hour, and it involves more than you thought it involved, the one option you have is to go to them and say, hey, this is a lot more work than I anticipated. I need to get more money. And if they say no, then obviously you don't have an agreement. Salaries are negotiable and open to both parties having to agree. So, I mean, it's not an offense to work people hard in and of itself. I think the individual workers have to understand that if they don't agree with that, then they have options. Like Labor Board isn't going to get involved in that. They're going to be like, well, you're paying $8.50 an hour, but you're working them too hard. Labor Board surely can't determine what that would entail. So that one is a little bit of a slippery slope. Damien says, why did immigration stop advertising Cayman status and PR applications? No clue. I have no idea. Perla says, yes, name and shame them all. Compass or Net News can't do it. Basically, no one else can name them like you do, CMR. The bosses set the tone at the top, says waking up the Cayman Islands. Nadir, good morning. ¿Cómo estás? Cameron says, because of CMR, I don't even sneeze without saying, excuse me. Good morning, Cherry. How are you? Jamila says, Andrew Smith, true, it happened to me. Worst experience working there. What a hot mess. Well, hopefully the owners of these companies are listening this morning, because I think that when you can't keep staff and you keep hemorrhaging staff, maybe it's not the staff, and you need to start having a look at, what's really going on within your organization. So Anthony says, Moxham is in business with the former chamber president Dilbert and Restaurant Barrel and Pedro. Why do you think he's not cooperating? But that doesn't have anything to do with, I don't care if he's in business with President Trump. To be clear, that ain't got nothing to do with it. The chamber is not into lawlessness. I'm sure of that. And I'm sure Mr. Dilbert is not going to be supporting this kind of thing either. But that doesn't give you a pass. Listen, the law doesn't care who you family to, who you're in business with, and who you know. You have to follow the law. Live Happy says many businesses arguably should not exist, or they ought to be self-run or family operated. Some are obtaining work permits yet offer little employment for the workers. What a mess. Jim says that they're both gangsters, talking about the presidents of the candidates for presidency in the U.S. Ingrid says, Sandy, they still owe us from last year, July, over $5,000 to each of us. And all now they haven't paid. The ex-regional manager that was also fired after I opened up to the owners with everything they needed to know is still walking free. So when you say he's walking free, were you expecting him to be put in jail? But it's the company that owes you the money. It's not the ex-manager, to be clear. When managers work for organizations, if they're breaching the law and they're not paying you what you're supposed to be paid, then the company should pay it. So why hasn't the company paid the money? I'm just saying. That's not a matter for the ex-manager. That's a matter for the organization itself. All right, folks, vote in the poll question of the day. He says, I'm back and forth cooking. I met CUC collecting payments from their agents. So your question is that CUC is waiting months to collect payments from agents, but what makes you think that? Their contracts say that the agents are supposed to pay it monthly, but the payments are lodged. I think there's a little bit of confusion about this because of what happened at the Eastern Avenue gas station with that guy. What was his name again? Oh Lord. Begins with an R. What? Somebody remind me of his name. But anyway, that's not what was happening. To be clear, he wasn't paying what was collected to CUC. But once he collected it, lodged the payment, gave the receipt, the client's account was updated. So nobody got disconnected. Richard, what's his name? Somebody remind me of his name. They're formerly of the Eastern Avenue gas station. Roger Tatum. So because Roger Tatum wasn't paying it to CUC, that doesn't mean that CUC was disconnecting people because they hadn't gotten the payment. I think that CUC gave Roger a lot of leeway with all this money that he owes them, because clearly this is another, example of poor business management. He was using the money to do other business with, obviously, to float other bills and whatever. So CUC gave him a payment plan. They said, we need our money back. But that doesn't mean that they were disconnecting people based on that. Anthony says naming and shaming employers is a bad idea. It will only create more work permits, and those employees are desperate and will create a bad situation. How does that create more work permits? I'm not following the logic there. Well, first of all, once you're on the list, Anthony, this is how you resolve that issue very, very quickly. When you're on the list for non-payment, you're ineligible for any work permits to be approved. How about that? This is where our legislators can easily fix legislation. If you're in arrears on your legal obligations to pay pension and health insurance to your workers, you should not be able to get a business license renewal. Okay? They need to tie it into if you have an incorporated company, they need to tie it into that as well. And they also need to make sure that you ain't paying, are not eligible to get any work permits. Very, very simple to do. I'm just saying. You all need to get with the program. All right, Perla, have a good day. Galaxy says when Mac gave statuses to the thousands, he also changed immigration law, whereby there was no more Cayman status holder, just Caymanian. Also the need to put a picture in paper when applying. Is that when it changed? I don't know, so I can't comment on that, to be fair. I can certainly ask some people who may know. But what a hot mess. Y'all been letting McKeeva do for a long time and getting away with it. And y'all still supporting Big Mac. Y'all still, oh man, we love you, McKeeva. McKeeva, we love you. He grabbing women by the pums, and y'all still here talking foolishness about, he can bite people. That's okay. I mean, was it really a bite, Sandy? Or was it a love tap? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Is she extra sensitive? I'm like, well, you find your victims as you take them. You shouldn't be going around suckling people in any regard. I'm just saying, don't put your lips on me. I don't know where the hell your lips been. But, y'all excuse a lot of bad behavior when it comes to your government officials. I'm really flabbergasted. And it's no wonder that there's a lot of nincompoops, criminals, bad business people, business gangsters that are more than happy to run for political office because y'all have opened up the gates and said, here you go. This is an example of what we've tolerated for 40 years and it ain't getting no better. So just continue with the bad behavior. And there you have it. Debbie says, yes, companies are supposed to send it in to employees to immigration, and immigration needs to be checking the list. And again, if there was a very quick turnaround, listen, the pension companies submit reports. They're supposed to, that's in the law. They're supposed to submit these reports to DLP, Department of Labor and Pensions. Immigration should also be getting the reports. And if there are infractions and late payments, then kaboom, you don't get no more work permits. And then the Caymanians, by the notification that we're suggesting, the public notification, Caymanians also know that they just, not the kind of people you want to work for. Cameron says, is that how we really sound, Sandy? Charles Whitaker in the house. Morning, Charles. Irvin says, McKeeva alone could not change the law. I'm just saying. Ah, boy, what a mess. Paul, good morning. Our beautiful friend joining us from Bermuda. Damien says, low blow. Well, the truth is what it is, honey child. Cameron says, simple as that. Give us a kaboom. Kaboom! All right. We got Tiz waiting for us. She's going to be joining us here in a second. Let me see. This person says, pension. They're a bunch of jokers. Hold up. Sandra, if you think what McKeeva done was bad, with the status grants, checks what PPM did with the 2013 immigration law. Everyone who works in Cayman for 8 years can apply for PR before their 9th year. Well, I've been telling y'all need to get rid of PPM long time. That's nothing new. All respect, I don't recall that being under the Bush leadership. We can find out. This person says, good morning. Maybe Mario Rankin. No, it's Mario and Luigi. Johan seems to purposely be doing self-sabotage He sounds like he expected you not to report because it is his brother, but that is on you because you be buddy with him and gives him brownies. Oh my God, the brownies ain't got nothing to do with it. Y'all are tying things together that ain't got nothing to do with anything. This person just want your hands brownies. That's all it is. I know you want brownies, girlfriend. You can get brownies too. Don't get salty with your hand because you want his brownies. My God. And the person says, ask Makiva about the printing of photos. The last time they printed photos of who wanted status was when DART applied. Lord Jesus. OMG. Good morning, Sandy. I have a question. If the head of the justice system is a gangster, who do we go for justice? Please ask the audience. Thank you. Well, who is the head of the justice system? Who is that person that you think is the head? Because I don't know who you're referring to, but everybody has laws and procedures that they have to be following. So I'm not sure. All right. There needs to be, that is where the need for a Better Business Bureau comes in. Well, the Better Business Bureau would protect consumers and maybe look out for some consumer rights and kind of handle that sort of thing. I don't think that they get into employment related issues by any stretch of the imagination, but I've always said that Cayman needs a version of a Better Business Bureau. The chamber could take it on, but I don't think the chamber wants to get involved in disputes. This person says, with the cost of living, I think that pension should only be in place for Caymanians and not permit holders. Permit holders don't want to pay like how they say they'll be going home. Well, the problem with that is you're making the assumption that they're going to go home. Don't be too sure. Like the person just said, at year 8 now, they're going to be applying for PR, and then all of a sudden they become a burden on the system because they'll find a way to be a Caymanian. Mm-hmm. That reminds me of the guy in Bermuda. We haven't really talked about this case, but we can talk about this later on. Former Bermuda Premier has basically said that minimum wage should only apply to Bermudians and nobody else. Interesting. All right, Miss Tiz, are you ready? You got your documents and everything loaded, locked and loaded? Dean says the labor market is a cesspool and it's normalized by the powers that be. All about who you is. Live Happy says it's essential to research a business thoroughly before applying to them and not to accept things at face value. Unfortunately, when you're maybe professionals can do that, but when you're at a particular level, you kind of just want a job. Our whole system is rotten, says Charles. Damien says that then everyone would hire expat. That's a stupid idea. About pensions. Yeah, you can't have inequality of applications of laws and benefits and stuff like that anyway. I think that's a very slippery slope that just doesn't make any sense. All right, Miss Marva. Miss Tiz, are we ready? We've got Tiz from Recover here that we're going to be talking with this morning. Galaxy says, once again, we grant them status and they'll be protesting against development and want to stop roads from being built to protect the environment. There's a lot of Caymanians out there doing that too. Just saying. Hello, madam.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Did you have any luck with your document? Okay, at the bottom, do you see something that says present?
Yes.
Click on that.
Okay.
And then you see where it says slides?
Yes.
Click on that. And then it says your computer. Down at the bottom. Add files from. You see Google Slides and then your computer.
Upload file.
So, but it should give you an option to pull it right from the computer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And once it's a PDF, you're good to go.
Oh, it has to be PDF.
What do you have it saved as? Well, try it. I mean, I've never used PowerPoint, but maybe. Try it and see. It might take it. Otherwise, I can quickly convert it to PDF for you. Save as. I'll convert it as a PDF and send it to you. But try it. I think it's. I'm not sure, to be honest, if it will save to this computer. Save as, enable saving, save as, and then I'm going to save it as a PDF. Da-da-da-da. There we go, and I'll re-email it to you.
Okay.
Awesome. Good stuff coming to you right now. All right. Attached file. And there you go. All right, so everybody knows Tiz. I don't think she needs any introduction, but just in case, this might be your first time watching the show. So let's talk a little bit about Recover. Their website is recover.ky. They're personal injury attorneys with over 60, not 60, let me not age them that much, over 50 years of combined experience. They have a team over there, and their motto is no win, no fee. So they offer free consultations. And what they operate on, which is a very unique model, is that if they don't recover, hence the name, they don't get paid. So they do their best. They're motivated to make sure that you win your case. And they have the legal expertise. Again, 50 plus years of personal injury experience. They're passionate about what they do, and they put their passion behind every single case. They do home and hospital visits available 24/7. They do have a WhatsApp number that you can contact them on, as well as a landline number. And, basically, they're also going to be very, very honest with you. So if there's something that they can't do, they're not going to lie to you about it. They're not going to be like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, well, because they're not just taking your money like a lot of other attorneys. They are motivated because they better work for it, because that's how they get paid. Kids? Covering a lot of different areas, including medical malpractice, motor vehicle and motorcycle collisions, pedestrian and cyclist knockdowns, product liability, slip and falls, occupiers liability, dog bites, insurance disputes, and other things. So you definitely want to reach out to them if you have any of those matters to discuss. All right, Ms. Tiz, you ready?
I got your email, but I'm trying to upload it still.
Okay.
And I don't know where it went. Desktop. Okay. Drag.
You want me to pull you out and give you a couple more minutes?
Sure.
Okay. All right. No worries. Okay. So let's maybe do one more story. So this he's 88 years old, Sir John Swan. He is a former Bermuda premier, and he's seeking to get elected as an independent candidate at 88. Dude, go retire. I mean, 88, and you want to get back into politics? When was he premier of Bermuda? I don't even know. Born in 1935, July. He was a politician and longtime premier from 1982 to 95. Resigned his post after losing an important national vote on independence. Oh, wow. Swan was educated in Bermuda and West Virginia in the United States, entered Bermuda's parliament in 1972. Dude, that's older than me. As Minister for Home Affairs from 1978 to 82. You don't need to get back in politics. Just go retire. Go riding off into the sunset on a dolphin or something. Not on a dolphin, but you know what I mean. Like something in the ocean. Go riding off into the sunset on a yacht. Wow. At 88 years old, he's trying to re-enter politics. Anyway, he's come up with this controversial idea the minimum wage, which is, he says, is worsening the cost of living for the British Overseas Territories. He says the government's approach to minimum wage could worsen the cost of living for British Overseas Territories. So his solution is to grant, he's against the government's grant of minimum wage to all workers, including foreign workers. And he says, no, 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 no. When we give minimum wage, we didn't give it to Bermudans. We didn't just give it to Bermudans. We gave it to foreigners too, and they send their money home. And so he says, I'm confused though. So what are you saying? That as expensive as Bermuda is to live, you don't want foreigners to get minimum wage? So people would be abusing your foreign workers and underpaying them? Ooh, honey child. Let's not Bermudans, I'm not telling y'all what to do, but you might not want to like that one over there. Marshall says he needs to go sit down somewhere and enjoy the rest of his life that he has left. I agree. 88 years old, retirement time. Or go volunteer. So much volunteer work and kids to help out. All right, Miss Tiz is back with us. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So now you just click on it and say add to stage, and we are ready to rock and roll.
Add to stage.
So just hover over the image at the bottom.
Next slide. No. Do you see it on your end?
Yes. Do I have to add it for you?
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Awesome.
Maybe. Can you control
Cool.
it? Next slide.
Sorry?
You're able to control it?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So today we want to talk about how you can maximize your personal injury claims. I think that on this island, lots of stuff is constantly happening. I'm getting a lot of calls from different sectors of the community, whether it's work related, school related, government related, contract related, and then there's your regular ongoing car accidents that happen daily, and falls and injuries at work, all kinds of stuff. And people, when you're in the situation, the majority of people don't know what to do. And so this is what we're going to talk about today. And hopefully the people will get a better idea as to what steps to take and in what order, so that they make sure that their rights are protected and that they get the maximum that they're entitled to get if they're injured.
Yeah. So when you say maximizing your personal injury claim, that basically means getting the most out of it, essentially.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So the first tip that I would say that people should do is get professional guidance as soon as it happens too, because a lot of the times people think, okay, I'll just, deal with the insurance company or my employer on my own and see what happens. And then down the road, they figure out, well, maybe they don't have my best interests at heart. And so who's going to protect me? And I don't know the laws. And so it's a good idea to reach out and get some legal assistance, even a free consultation, so that you can get yourself on the right path.
Okay.
All right. So why should you call a lawyer? Reason number one, the legal system is complex and it's difficult to navigate. There's different rules. There's different statutes of limitation. There's different court procedures. So like you can be in the grand court if it's a big file, or you can use the summary court if it's where the damages or the compensation you're looking for is $20,000 or less. So, a lawyer can help guide you into what direction to take and what the remedies are.
Okay.
All right. So like amongst other things, it can be hard for somebody, a layperson, to determine what is the value of my claim. I don't know. What are the appropriate limitation periods? What rules apply? How insurers usually deal with people who are not represented. We know that it's biased, it's unfair. We see it all the time. People are taken advantage of, and they don't know any better, and they get them to sign a form, and your claim is done, and there's no going back from that. So another thing we can help you with is to decide when it's appropriate to issue proceedings in the court, especially if you're in a situation where you're not working and you need an interim payment to help pay your medical expenses and your wage loss, and the insurer is refusing to do it. We find that issuing proceedings and then applying to the court will get them to reconsider their position and provide a payment quicker. So these are all reasons why it's important to consult with an attorney. Another really important reason is when you're injured and your life is turned upside down, the last thing you need to do is stress about dealing with insurance companies and lawyers.
Yes.
So what we like to do is onboard you right away and then let you just relax and worry about your health and getting yourself back into a better position, like healing, seeing doctors, focusing on rehabilitation, and letting us worry about the hassles and the stress of dealing with insurance companies and lawyers and legal claims and all of that stuff. We want to take the burden off you so that you can just focus on recovering.
Right. Okay. And I think that's actually quite a good point, because I was just thinking about a young lady I know who was in a car accident, and she's like, oh, Sandy, I'm just feeling so stressed out. So on top of the physical injuries that she had, there was also, this whole like, okay, now there's an element of stress that has been added to my life. And sometimes the mental part is the most challenging part to deal with.
Yeah, it's exhausting. I can tell you a lot of clients that try to do this all on their own just report that like they just get either ignored or like lowballed or not treated fairly. And that just adds insult to injury, right? So you have your physical injuries, your pain and suffering, and then you have all this mental stress on top of that, like dealing with insurers who ignore you, or they just think that you'll just accept whatever they say because they're the insurance company and they know, but that's not always the case, and they're not always on your side. So you need to really get that stress off you and give it to somebody who knows what they're doing, who deals with these people day in and day out, and you can just relax.
Very good. Let the experts deal with it, folks. We have a question here from Miss Debbie. She says, is workers' comp still law in Cayman? So what do we know about workers' compensation?
So workers' compensation is still a scheme that's available, and most employers should have elected to become part of that by paying premiums. However, it's important to note that as an employee who is hurt or injured on a job, you don't have to automatically go into workers' compensation, because I think what they provide you is 2/3 of your salary for a short period of time. You have the option of choosing, and that's why it's so important to consult with a legal professional. You can choose to opt out of workers' comp and instead start a lawsuit. And we'll go over soon on another slide what you're entitled to. And it's certainly a lot more than what you would receive through workers' compensation. So we see a lot of clients who are pressured into signing forms to go through the workers' comp route. And we usually advise them that's not a good idea. There's way more you can get compensated for in a civil action. Great question. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. We have one more question that has come in via WhatsApp from a listener as well. This person says, please ask your guests Oops, sorry, 1 second here. Please ask your guests, how is it that insurance companies are allowed to negate their responsibility to cover the damages / cost of a victim of a DUI incident? To be clear, an intoxicated driver hit someone, and that injured party is left to pursue the DUI driver in civil court. So this is one of those terms that's in their contract, right? So there's certain things that they'll put in there that negates your coverage. So this person's asking, how is that possible?
I would suggest that that person reach out to us, because there's ways around it. And we need to really know the facts of the situation and what the policy says, because it's not true that just because there's a DUI that it's automatically not covered. So,
okay.
Yes.
This is why we bring on the experts, folks. All right, Madam Tiz.
All right. So reason number 3, why it's good to consult a lawyer to get make sure that you're getting your maximum compensation is because we know what injuries are worth, and we know what other losses are compensable. So there's a judicial college guideline book, and it comes from the UK, and every injury is set out in this book by body part. And this book just got updated. So now we're on the 17th edition of it. And all the injuries have gone up by about 22% across the board. So as a layperson, you wouldn't know this information. And when the insurance company offers you 5-10 grand, here you go, sign here and you'll get your money next week. That doesn't necessarily mean you've been fairly compensated for the injuries.
Okay. Very good.
So some more tips to maximize your claim is to keep documents and keep receipts and keep copies of everything, whether it be sick notes, medical records, receipts like hospital receipts, pharmacy receipts, even keeping a log or a journal of, who's come in to help you. If you've had a broken leg or an injury where you're immobile, even if it's a family member or your significant other or your child who's helping you while you recover, that's a claim that can be compensated. We just need proof. So we urge you guys to keep documentation of everything, and then you can give it to your attorney and we'll put it all together and get anything that's missing. But that's definitely key to maximizing.
This person says, if you have uninsured motorists, will that cover I'm not sure, if the at-fault driver was a DUI? So if the victim is uninsured, I think is what they're saying. And then the other person, the at-fault driver was a DUI? Well, I mean, if it's not your fault, just because you don't have insurance doesn't mean you wouldn't get covered, right?
Correct. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I needed to read that more than once to understand the question, really, but okay. All right.
So this slide just goes over again what you're entitled to claim in a lawsuit. So you have, besides your pain and suffering, you have loss of earnings, right? So that's all that can be proven by a letter from your employer, and then your paycheck or your pay stub, and sick notes saying you needed 6 months off work. So that's very important. Then you have your medical expenses, including therapy, hospital, medication, anything related to what you've paid out of pocket, and even the 20% that you pay. Most people have health insurance that covers 80%, and then they pay out of pocket 20%. That 20% is claimable. So keep receipts of everything. And even if you have been in an accident and your car's gone and you're having to go to medical appointments and you're using taxi services or somebody's driving you, that's also something that can be claimed back if you keep track of it.
Okay. So, and again, when people meet with you, you remind them of all these things and, make sure that they're keeping their documentation as well.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing that is not on the slides, but I want to mention in terms of maximizing is insurance companies are getting really savvy and technical. They are looking you up on Facebook. They're looking you up on Instagram, on TikTok. They are digging into your history. They're trying to find things about you that they can use against you. So it's really important to keep that in the back of your head. Sometimes they'll even hire private investigators to follow you to try to catch you doing something.
Right.
Yes.
So if I get in a car accident, I shouldn't be out there playing squash the next day or whatever.
Not if you're claiming you have, leg, back, and, shoulder injuries, and you're whacking balls. Yeah, no, not advisable.
Not advisable. Yeah. They're going to be looking at my social media saying, Oh my goodness.
So one of the most common questions I get from clients who come in is like, how much is my case worth and how long is it going to take to close it? And I never am able to answer that question off the cuff because there's so many factors involved that it's impossible to say. Some people heal quickly, some others don't. And so we always tell our clients to be patient because we need to see how things play out. The last thing I want to do is settle a case prematurely and then you come back to me in 6 months or a year and say, listen, now I need surgery for this injury that I thought I was fine for. There's no going back from that. So we want to make sure that before we settle, we're in a position to know that the injury is stabilized and that this is what we're dealing with, and we know what the future kind of is going to look like in terms of what you will need for future care, and then we can proceed to resolve it. But it's very common for a case to be open for at least a year, if not more, and that gives us enough time to even send you to medical experts to get an opinion as to what we're dealing with, that if it's chronic and you need surgery in the future, or if it's something that has resolved. We need to know that in order to make the appropriate analysis of what the injuries are actually worth. So again, it takes time. Takes time to recover, and then it takes time to go through the court system if we're going that route. And so we need patience.
Very good.
So the next slide kind of goes over a timeline of, from when the accident happens, what is the procedure? So, you get into an accident or you get hurt at work, you get into a car accident, you fall, okay? You seek medical attention. Obviously, that should be the number one thing that you do. And then at that point, after that, we say that's when you should call an attorney and get advice. Okay. And then that, depending on the advice, if there's negligence, if there's a claim, if we feel like this is something that you could get compensated for, we will tell you, and we will protect your limitation period and advise you on that, and then open a claim, put the insurance company, hopefully there's insurance, on notice. And, we, depending on whether the insurance company is willing to negotiate or not, we may need to file a claim in the courts. So we don't like to wait until close to the 3-year mark, because that's way too long. We want to make sure your rights are protected earlier on. So we may have to file a claim. in the meantime, you're going to medical appointments, you're going to treatment, you're going to rehab, you're trying to recover, you're mitigating your damages by giving it your best shot to see if you can heal from it. And then at a certain point, when we think your injuries are stable, we can enter into negotiation with the insurance company.
Right.
Claiming all the heads of damages that we spoke about earlier. And, if everything goes right, we can reach a settlement. If we're too far apart or they're denying liability, which means that they don't think that they're at fault, then we have to go through the court system, and that'll take even longer. But that's kind of a general idea of how the claim plays out from start to finish.
We do have a question. So this person says, good morning. Can you please ask Tiz if once a person has received a small settlement in an accident claim in which they were told, accept this or pursue the drunk driver on your own, but their pain returns, is there anything that they can do, or is that it?
It depends on that paper that they signed and what it says. As if it extinguishes all your rights against the insurance company and the person as well, then you can't pursue anything anymore. And that's why, we don't mind if you guys are in this situation and you need to call us. We'll give you advice. We offer a free consultation. There's no reason why anyone should be signing these papers without understanding what they really mean and the implications of it going forward.
Wow. So that's why you definitely want to have a qualified person read over and look at the wording and, because as you just said, sometimes injuries manifest themselves. You think you're feeling better and then things come up. Yeah,
exactly.
Wow. Good question. Great question. 936-2626. Don't forget the phone lines are also open if you'd like to ask Tiz a question this morning.
I see a question on the chat. Do you claim the total cost of treatment or just the out-of-pocket cost? That's a great question. So typically, when there's a health insurance coverage involved, the third-party insurance wants you to use that first. And so what we do is we write to your health insurer and say, listen, this person has been injured, and they have all these health claims that are going to pop up. Please let us know if you want us to recoup those costs on your behalf as part of the injured person's claim. And most likely they will want that. So we handle that part as well. And so we claim the total cost of treatment. So not only your out-of-pocket 20%, but also the additional costs that your health insurer has laid out for you as part of your policy.
Okay, that's good to know. Good question. Wow. You guys are really thinking smart. All right. Thank you so much. That question came from Mellow Fellow.
So once your case concludes, the damages that you receive, they're full and final. So you want to make sure that you've recovered or that you know what you're dealing with, if it's going to be chronic, before you settle your case, because you can't go back. And if you're not sure what your case is worth, again, that's why we're here. We have experience in this area. We have expertise in this area. We can guide you further as to, are you sure you're claiming everything that you're entitled to claim? Did you miss, did you miss your out-of-pocket expenses? Did you miss the income loss, even though it was small? Did you factor that in? Did you get all of your injuries, including psychological injuries? That's a real injury. PTSD is worth a lot of money. So, make sure that you know what you're entitled to claim for, because insurance companies, they'll just give you like a small number, and they don't even break it down for you. They're just like, here's 10, 8, 5, depending on the insurer. And, people are like, oh, that sounds fair, reasonable, not knowing that there's an actual analysis that goes behind that. They can't just offer you random numbers. That's not how they should be operating.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question about this, Tiz. I mean, I know, like I said, back in the day when I was at Maples, I used to be in the library. That was part of my kind of work duties. And I used to go through and take out all the old leaflets and put in all the new ones. So I would sit there and read a lot of these cases. And that's how I saw how they determined what a person's injuries are worth, right? And there's a whole formula to it. It's very, very fascinating.
Yes.
And very, very interesting. Recently, there was the situation with the fatality on Shamrock, where, obviously, sadly, some persons died on Monday. And the residents in that area have been talking about the safety of that road and how much speeding people do on that road. And they've been, trying to get the authorities to do something about it. And so when I was speaking to one of the neighborhood advocates on this, she said that I can't remember if it was the police. I think it might have been the police that told her, because they said, well, how much is a life worth in Cayman? And they told her $1 million. Now, I wasn't sure where they got that figure from, because I'm like, it's not like just a blanket, a life in Cayman is worth $1 million. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Can you talk about what some of those factors are? Because that was actually a government official. I can't remember if she said NRA or police, one or the other, had told her, a life in Cayman is worth $1 million. So she's like, well, they're trying to say installing, for example, the speed cameras, is going to cost $1 million. But look, you've just lost $3 million worth of a life. But that's not how it works. Can you just break it down a little bit for us so we can understand?
So fatalities are tricky animal in themselves. Like when someone's injured, you claim for compensation for their personal injuries, for their damages, for the pain and suffering they endured. However, the laws don't account for somebody who dies instantly, like upon impact. There's no damages for that. You don't get damages for that. It's really sad, but that's what it is. And so the person's not here. They can't make a claim for themselves. So you look to their next of kin, to their spouses, to their children, and to a lesser extent their parents. And it's all about what you can prove. So there's dependency loss claims that you can make. So if they were, the breadwinner, and you can prove that they were sending money back home, or they were responsible for paying all their family's bills, then there's certainly a claim that stems from that. But there is no hard and fast rule about $1 million for each fatality. No, that's incorrect. And again, that's why it's so important to call a lawyer and get your information firsthand, because those things are not true.
Okay. All right. Very good. So good to know. 936-2626 phone lines are open. If you have a question for Tiz, feel free to either WhatsApp, send the question in the comment section, or you can also call in.
So we just want to remind people again, generally the statute of limitation is 3 years from the date of the injury to bring a claim. So, if you're injured and you don't think you're hurt, and then you realize like a year later, this is not going away, you still only have 3 years, even though, you figure it out a year in. So now you're left with 2 years. So we urge people to get advice early on, so that you know what you're dealing with. And the insurance companies are not going to tell you this. They're not going to help you out and say, listen, you have 3 years. It's approaching 3 years. If you can't settle with us, then you're going to be out of luck. They don't tell you that. So, yeah, be careful.
Yep. Yeah. And I know that, I had a situation where a friend might have had a claim for medical malpractice, but she was, in the hospital unconscious for a good period of time. She was a new mom. There was just so much that was going on that, to be honest, she was in the headspace thinking, oh, I need compensation. I almost lost my life because of, potential negligence from this OBGYN who cut my bowels during a procedure. And by the time that she finally started to think about it, the statute of limitation had just ran out.
Yeah, we get those calls too, Sandy, and it's really, I feel horrible telling people that I can't help them. But that's why the limitation period is there for a reason. You can't just, keep dragging out claims. The defendants, they need to secure evidence. They need to know what they're facing. The insurance companies need to assess their files accordingly. So you can't drag it out for, years and years. There's timelines that you have to adhere to, and hopefully you'll call a lawyer and they can make sure you're protected before the 3 years is up.
Do you think there's any arguments we made for extending it beyond 3 years?
It's really difficult, of course, for minors, they have 3 years starting from when they're 18. So, that's helpful for children who have claims. Mm-hmm. But again, it's all based on what you can prove. So the longer, you don't record your injuries and you don't seek medical attention, and then, you want to do it 3, 5, 10 years later, it's not going to look good. You have to show a consistent timeline, or else they're going to say, well, there's other factors that could have caused these injuries. Who knows what happened in those years that, you didn't advance your claim. So you have to be careful of that. And it's really hard to get past. It's a whole court application. You have to get permission from the court to get a claim filed outside of the 3 years, and the court usually doesn't allow it. It has to be like really special circumstances.
Okay, very good. Good, very good to know. All right, so how do people contact you, Tiz? They're sitting here thinking about this. They're listening very, very carefully. Oh, this person has a comment. Hold on one second. They say, I'm aware of a case. Wait, hold on. I am aware of them not taking a case because the person that caused a very serious accident let his insurance lapse, and a minimum wage expat worker, and was a minimum wage expat worker with no assets. Is it safe to say that they will only take cases that they will pay out? So what sort of cases do you accept, generally speaking?
So yes, we take on a case if we think that it's going to be successful. And we've had, unfortunately, situations where we've taken on a case and then we find out down the road that the insurance company is saying they're not going to cover the claim. And they do this for a variety of reasons. Anything from there was no consent to drive the vehicle, or the person was engaged in a criminal act, or let's see what else. The person was outside of the scope of their policy. They were driving their vehicle for work and they didn't let us know. All kinds of things. Like the insurance companies, first thing they do is see how they can get out of it and save money, unfortunately. So we've had cases where they've denied it properly, and in those cases, what we're left with is to either go after the person on an individual basis, and we'll make inquiries as to whether they have any assets, and we'll advise you whether it's going to be worth it or not. Because even if you can get a court to hand you down a judgment against the person, if they are a minimum wage worker and they have no assets and they're going to roll over, we're not going to be able to collect anything from them. We can maybe try to garnish wages, but it's a long shot, and it's very expensive and timely to go through that process. So we'll advise you. Sometimes, though, the insurance companies will deny coverage, and we don't think that they're doing it fairly, and we'll push back and we'll fight them. So we have quite a few cases of that going on. So again, it really depends on the situation, and you need to get legal advice on a case-by-case basis.
Right. So somebody comes in, you do your initial consultation with them, you try to get as much information as possible from them. You might go back and ask them for documentation and other things so that you can get a feel for what are the chances really that you can be successful in this case. Because if it isn't, then, you know, you can't proceed, right? And I think the important thing is to let people know up front what is actually going on.
Yes. And a lot of times, like, the police will tell people like, oh, you know, there's no insurance on here, or there might be a problem. Like they can kind of see it before the actual insurance company gives their position in writing. So sometimes we'll have a heads up as to what's going on. But again, like, every case is different and unique. So you need to really consult with a lawyer on a case-by-case basis to get proper legal advice.
Okay, good.
So how can you reach us? We have a website. It's recover.ky. And we also are on social media on Instagram. I think it's at recover.ky as well. We have a WhatsApp number. That's.
Why don't you guys, just a quick question, why don't you have a Facebook page?
I think I don't know. That's a good question. I think there is one, but we're not, like, Instagram is more trendy.
I don't know though, but most people in Cayman, this is where that consumption report from Tower Marketing comes in handy. Most people in Cayman are Facebook users.
Facebook.
Yeah,
so
I mean, Instagram
is a new project for us to work on.
You know, maybe more trendy and younger crowd, but I'm telling you, the market penetration and where people are at is actually Facebook. So tell your marketing folks they got to get a Facebook page up and running as well.
All right, we will work on that. But like, WhatsApp is really handy because it's 24-hour hotline and it's 924-9999. Easy number to remember, and you know, just shoot us a message or give us a call, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And then you have my number too. I think it's down there. My direct line at the office is 749-9999. So that's another easy number. And again, go on the website. We have a form you can fill out, like a inquiry form, and those come directly to me. So I'll see that and I'll get back to you again right away as soon as I can. That way as well.
Beautiful. We have a question from one of our listeners. Mellow Fellow says, when the insurance company contests a claim, and you contest a claim and you win the lawsuit, does that supposed to win the lawsuit? Do you get statutory interest on the amount for the period of the claim was contested?
Yes. So we do claim for prejudgment interest. Unfortunately, the rate is really low. It's like 2% or something around there. So it's not much, but yes, we do claim interest.
Okay, good. Somebody asking if you can practice in the US.
No, unfortunately, I went to law school in Canada, so I can practice in Ontario, the province of Ontario, as well as in Grand Cayman. But if you know, you have a situation that happened in the United States, we do have a network of lawyers that we can reach out to and refer you to them if you need. So.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Sandy.
Yes. Anybody has questions for Tiz? Again, you can reach her on 924-9999. The other number is
749-9999. Yeah.
Okay. Someone saying, what if the child is Caymanian? So I think this is a question of like, what jurisdiction can damages be claimed in? So can you tell us a little bit about that before you leave? Is it like where the accident happened? Is it where the person is from? So how does that work?
So usually wherever the person is injured, is where you would commence the claim. So even we have like a lot of tourists that come here and things happen to them, they're injured. And so, they go back home to United States or wherever, and they'll consult with a lawyer, and the lawyer will be like, oh no, you need to call local counsel because it happened in Grand Cayman and we don't know those laws. And so you need to deal with a firm that is in the area where the situation happened.
Mm-hmm. Here's one final question of the day. Does she agree to a government fund that covers people who have no one to claim against? I believe this situation is common in the US, the UK, and Canada.
Yes, I am fully supportive of that. It's like my dream goal to get the government to set up a fund that would cover, because there's so many situations where there's no insurance and people are left to fend for themselves on their own. And it's just heartbreaking. And if there was this safety net in place, I think it would help so much, and it would protect people more. And even if it's not a government fund, even if there's a way for car insurance companies to offer coverage for ourselves. Like, so I want to self-insure myself in case, in the event that somebody hits me and doesn't have insurance, I want to make sure I'm protected. We have that in Canada, but here it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way of dealing with this no insurance coverage situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you very much, Tiz. We appreciate it so very, very much. Appreciate you coming on. Stephanie says, I've been trying for 14 years. Well, unfortunately, the statute of limitations has already run out in this country. Not sure what other country. I don't know if the U.S. Do you know anything about the U.S. law in terms of statute of limitations? I don't know personally.
It's state by state. So I want to say like generally it's 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
One other quick question. Earlier, we were talking about, and I don't know if you can answer this from a legal perspective or not, but we were talking about the legality of recording conversations. So say, for example, you get in an accident. Can I whip out my phone and start? I mean, that's a little bit different because maybe that's in a public space or whatever, but what can you record? Like, is there a general rule of thumb when it comes to like recording conversations? If you get injured in the job and you're sitting there talking to your boss and they're like admitting certain things to you and you're like, yeah, I need to take out my phone and record this. Are you allowed to use that? And then is that something you can use later on in different situations or?
So that's an interesting one. And there's no hard and fast rule. It's actually situation dependent from what I understand. So like if me and you are having a conversation and I record you, I think that's okay. But if you're, calling up a company or the company's recording you, I think it depends on whether it's a personal situation or if it's like a commercial setting. There's different things that apply, and it's not really easy. It's not really straightforward to judge that. It's like I think we could do a show on that in itself.
Okay. So there's lots of different situations, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Tiz. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks. Have a good one. We'll see you next month.
Yes.
All right. Wonderful. So again, give Recover a call. Lots of these things are not quite as easy as you might think. They're very, very complex, but that's why, the lawyers get paid the big bucks because they're the experts, honey child.
Recover Personal Injury Attorneys, helping injured people get what they deserve. Did you know that insurance companies have lawyers that represent their interests? Before signing and accepting any settlement, know your rights. Call us today for a free consultation at 924-9999. That's 924-9999. Recover. Your personal injury attorneys are on standby to assist.
BK Wings are back. You can still pick up the original wings and add your own buffalo, barbecue, or sweet and sour sauce. But now introducing 2 new varieties that come pre-smothered: mango habanero and jerk. BK Wings are made from the best dressed chicken, unbreaded, fried, and lightly salted to perfection. Order them plain and add your own sauce, or get them pre-smothered in delicious new jerk or mango habanero. BK Wings are back at Burger King. Grab them late at 7 Mile Beach or Red Bay. Open till midnight Thursdays and 1 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. BK.
Ocean Ridge Heights offers an amazing opportunity to own a piece of land in idyllic Cayman Brac, right on the bluff, starting from $80,000. Located in a quiet residential area with high elevation, these lots are ideal for a future home or investment property and are sure to go fast. Cayman Brac offers a laid-back lifestyle, amazing pristine diving, limestone caves, diverse flora, along with amazing wildlife. Inquire about the owner financing options so that you can secure your piece of paradise today. With only a few lots remaining, these are sure to go before you know it. Contact Crichton Properties today on 345-949-5250 or info@crichtonproperties.com. Ocean Ridge Heights.
Okay, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. Hope everybody is doing well. I see you guys are hanging in there, staying awake. We just got some bad news. Unfortunately, our guest scheduled for tomorrow, Miss Marla Dukran, has a family emergency. Something has come up. So unfortunately, she's not going to be able to make tomorrow's program. As soon as we can reschedule her, we most certainly will. So folks, these things happen. Hope whatever the situation is, it's one that can be sorted out very, very quickly. So disappointing, but once you've got life and health, you can always reschedule appointments for interviews and bookings and everything else. So not to worry, Miss Marla, we got you, honey chill. We got you. All righty. So I know Renee is working on a number of different stories today. So we'll update you guys on those tomorrow. Let me just let her know. Okay. All right, there you go. So we'll get that up. Lots going on around the world. Okay, honey chill. What a hot mess. Ay. All right. Very good. Okay, somebody's sending me a picture. What is this picture of? Road closures for the 18th. This is accommodate a March for Jesus parade. Okay, so Friday, Albert Panton Street is going to be closed. This is central town. Rolling stops, 7 Mile Public Beach to Albert Panton Street. That's on Saturday from 4 p.m. until 6:30. The good news is on weekends, nobody's in town anyway. So knock yourselves out. Most people are not in town. All right, let's have a look at a few more headline stories for today. We're rolling right through. Okay, let's talk about this one. This one actually hasn't even made the news feed yet, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that apparently the police have confirmed that they are investigating an alleged assault on a 5-year-old child at Savannah Primary School. Now, towards the end of yesterday's program, into the overtime segment, we were talking about this, and I'm so incredibly disappointed to hear that this is a topic yet again. I mean, I cannot believe it. I remain flabbergasted, quite frankly, that we have another allegation and against another school teacher of, assaulting a child. What on earth? So I'm going to give you all the details. Let me just pull it up here. But, this is just absolutely shocking. I don't know. It seems like it's not just our children that need some help with anger management and that sort of thing. Seems like our teachers need some assistance as well. So this is what was received from a parent. Oh my God, this is just so ridiculous. I can't even, I can't fathom how this continues to happen. So this person says, hello, Miss Sandy, good evening. Just wanted to share my experience today with the school of my child in Savannah. Oh, this is another school. This is a preschool. Oh, Lord Jesus. Hold on. That wasn't the one I was actually looking for, but okay, well, let's talk about this one as well. But the one that I'm actually looking for is, give me 1 second. That one actually happened at Savannah Primary School. So folks, listen, the bottom line is this. If your children are assaulted at school or you suspect that they are, the very first thing you need to do is contact the police. They have a MASH unit that is supposed to be, their remit is protecting your children from all sorts of abuse in the community, in their homes. It just needs to be reported. So you have an obligation. I'm just trying to find this original message, actually. You've got an obligation to report. If your child comes home telling you a story that somebody kicked them in the back, doesn't really matter if that was the school principal or whomever, please, by all means, you need to have it looked into. So let me just see. Oh, Lord. Where did the person who sent me this about Savannah Primary School? Let me try to see if I can find the messages. Oh, I got so many messages. I know that the MASH unit, like I said, the police have confirmed that a report was made and that an investigation has been launched, and that is all they will say at this stage, which is kind of typical of them, to be honest. But the allegation was basically that, I'll get the person's name. I don't want to say it was the principal if it wasn't her, but someone there at the school actually kicked a 5-year-old child in the back. I don't know. Okay, here we go. I mean, I don't know what could lead anybody to kick a child, but here we go. Sandy, can you find out about the incident that occurred at Savannah Primary? And I'm like, which one? Haven't heard. 2 weeks ago, the principal, Miss Harris, kicked a 5-year-old student in the back. He had to get medical attention, and she's currently suspended. So anybody here knows, you guys have kids that go to Savannah Primary. Do you guys know that the principal was suspended? I'm just wondering how nobody seems to know anything about this situation. Why isn't anybody talking about it? So Janet Harris, who's Janet Harris? This is the principal at Savannah Primary. Who is she? Hold on now. Let me have a good look, honey child. Hold on now. Let me see. Prioritize. Okay, let me just see. Janet is one of the deity principals. What does that mean? What the heck is a deity principal? I don't have no clue what that means. She's God sent? What does that mean? What's her name? Janet Harris? Hold on, let me see if I can find her. Janet Harris Cayman. Deputy principal at Joanna Clark Primary School. Okay, from August of 2022 to present. So she hasn't been there for very long. Okay. What does this say? She's been a nuisance from Barbados from 19, how long? And regardless of the reports made made on her over the years, education department still keeps promoting her. What the hell? Okay. Deputy principal. Oh, I know Miss Janet. She's a deputy principal now? Oh. You guys have been complaining about her? Oh, snaps. Yes, I do. I know her. I've sat down and played dominoes with this woman. She's allegedly kicked a 5-year-old? Not Miss Janet. No. What the hell? No, sir. I mean, at the dominoes table, she seemed very calm, cool, and collected. Yeah, man, I know her still. I haven't seen her in a while. But I've sat down and played dominoes with her and her husband. Wow. Oh, Miss Janet, no bueno. Honey child, that could not be my child you'd be kicking. Because I tell you what, my foot might just have an auto reflex moment and poof, kick you in the back. Oh my God. This is just ridiculous. What the hell am I reading yet this morning? Okay. Well, let me just tell you all the story, like how I got it. Renee's going to put up the story later on today, but this is wild. Wow. Y'all got to stop touching people's children. I mean, honestly, just leave people's children alone. If you can't control them, a 5-year-old, I don't know why you got to be kicking a 5-year-old. I can't possibly hear any sort of excuse for why anybody would put their foot on a 5-year-old child. I mean, on a serious note, I unless that child is like demon possessed and they were coming at you with a knife and you just had to put your foot up to keep the knife at bay, there's no reason that you should ever put your foot on a 5-year-old child. On any child, in my opinion, but definitely not a friggin' 5-year-old child. All right. So let me read you what we got here, honey child. Lord Jesus, take the wheel. Wow. Okay. So the story goes that the child has been assaulted. They said that she's currently suspended and police are investigating. He's in year 1. And apparently it's not the first time that has happened. And she, quote unquote, the principal, pulls him in from the class frequently. Why? That's bizarre. To abuse and bully him and also allow other students to tease and bully him. What's going on here? A principal, a deputy principal, allowing children to bully another kid? That can't be. That makes me very, very concerned. Okay. Well, I'm telling you what was said. Let me see here now. He even obtained scratches on his body caused from Miss Harris. Apparently she's Bayesian. And she's suspended pending an investigation, but she needs to be removed from these islands. She should be in no contact with these kids. It's a crying shame. The child received treatment at Chrisley Tomlinson, and he had to do x-rays, breathing exams, chest x-rays, etc. Let me know if you need the child and parent details. Oh my God. I mean, we protect children, so I don't need to have those details, but wowee. Any updates? MASH unit has interviewed the child. She's apparently still employed, just prohibited from coming on the school premise. So she's working from home. I don't understand why she's still being allowed to work and why her government contract hasn't been suspended. Well, I guess she's on leave until, the investigation. I don't have any faith that they ever find anything wrong with what these teachers do, because we've seen other teachers putting their hands on people's child in mass unit, be like, oh, it's fine. Exorcisms, giving them things to drink. Oh, it's fine. Let them back in the classroom. Wow. Oh my God. The parents apparently are devastated, is what I'm hearing, and crying and all upset. Oh my God. This person says, I cried all day yesterday. Just got a call from the office. I'm still crying my eyes out in the office, saying that he needs his dad. He wants to go fishing. This is a little 5-year-old now, poor little thing. Oh my God. So they're pulling him out of school in June. I just need to get his last days. Wow. Wow. Well, as somebody just say, I know well. You better believe we would have a problem. I would have to, Houston, we have a problem. Call in the military, call in the comrades, call in somebody, because you do not put your foot on a child. And for the child to require a hospital visit, it seems like it must have been quite a tap with the foot. Chest x-rays and all kind of stuff. Oh my God. I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about my child's 7, and you're not doing that to her at 7 or 14 or any other age, but a little 5-year-old, they're so delicate. Oh my God. I don't even want to think about what I would do. I'm not saying what I would do, because I can tell you what, it wouldn't be proper. It wouldn't be nice. And I'm not going to no jail because I'm defending a child. Something is wrong with people who get aggressive towards children. I really do believe this. I feel like you're at a new low when you have to assault children. I'm just saying. My God, they're so defenseless. Like what the hell? I am just really flabbergasted, quite frankly. I would be, I don't know that I would be crying. I mean, you never know what your response is going to be in situations like this. So, they say, never say never. So I don't know that I would be crying. I mean, I'd be very upset. And sometimes what happens is when you're upset, your response is to cry. Because quite honestly, it's like, you don't know what else to do, So it's like, you gonna cry or you gonna kill somebody. So this parent is probably crying because the alternative would be that, she gonna grab up Miss Janet and kick her a couple times. So let the authorities try to do their job, I suppose. Wow. My God. I don't know. This is sick. Totally sick on a different level. We'll keep you guys updated. Bradley says this isn't surprising. Lord Jesus. Ms. Darlene McKenzie says, Sandra, no surprise these days what is happening on our islands. Symphony of the Reef, says, as I once was a kid that went to school here, I know this is nothing new for some teachers and schoolmates. Wow. Listen, I went to school in the States, and not even there were these people kicking down people's children, and they might have more of a reason there because, the kids bringing guns to school and knives and whatever. I've never seen anything like this before. What are y'all saying? Gabby says the principal is Mr. Pedley. Not sure who she is. Apparently she's a deputy principal. My God. Wow. Unbelievable. Well, let's see what the investigation in this matter. Amani says, so our kids are now being bullied not only by their peers, but also by those who are paid to educate and safeguard their kids. Like, what the hell? This principal needs kicking all the way back to Barbados. If these allegations hold any merit, and I mean, I'm suspicious that they do, a child gone to the hospital, I agree with you. I don't care how long you've been here. This is absolutely unacceptable. Marshall says you sat down and played dominoes with a child abuser. Little did I know. Talking about a temper. Like, what do you think a child could, a 5-year-old could do to make you lose control like that? Hope says, Hope Rose, good morning, says, I know Sister Janet Harris very personally from First Assembly. She's a British-born lady with Barbados roots. Very strong, intelligent woman of God. I don't think she would have done that. Well, you think this 5-year-old is making this up? And people are crying for no reason? Let's wait and see. Amani says more than less, she'll be sliding her backside, put it that way, right back in that school, more so that most working in the MASH come from Barbados. Really? In the MASH unit? Oh, I don't know nothing about that. Natasha says, how are the parents in this situation so calm when they learn that their child has been assaulted by an adult? I don't think they're calm because I see messages where they're saying that they're crying and they're so upset and they can't stop crying. Like I said, I'm not sure about the tears part. I might shed a tear for like a minute, but those are not going to be tears of, they're going to be tears of, I need to get my hands on somebody. I'm just saying. So I don't know. Hunter, good morning. Hunter says terminate employment, no questions asked. Unfortunately, you can't do that, Hunter. An investigation, this is the legalities of these things now. You have to ask questions because it has to be proven and there has to be an investigation. Then you terminate the contract. But our Department of Education seems to be so desperate for teachers that they seem to hire and retain and keep in and everybody, even when they assault your children. Now, the day y'all start to march and protest on the streets of Cayman for your kids, let me know. You know, I'll be there because y'all not motivated. All sorts of stuff happening with your children and you're not motivated. Debbie says the mental issues a child will go through, pull that child out now. Some of the teachers are meltdowns and need to find a better profession. My grand twins attend Savannah Primary and they told me Miss Janet is their principal and that she's very nice. I did not know that until they told me. You know, maybe she's nice to them, but this parent or people, not even the parent, because the parents haven't contacted me. Other people are saying, you know, she must not like this kid. She must not like a 5-year-old. Amani says, sorry, but if that was my kid, they'd be surgically moving my foot out of her. You know what? Symphony says we have a lot of people on island that literally despise the acknowledgement that we have children here. I know this for a fact. What do you mean despise the acknowledgement? I'm confused by that. That despise the acknowledgement that we have children here? What does that mean? Galaxy said, like I said yesterday, Caymanians believe that people come here because they love us. Wrong. They're here for the money and the better way of life. Couldn't agree more. Jim says, well, we don't really know people until we know them.
Praise the Lord.
Listen to me. No truer words have been spoken. You don't know people till you know them, till you had an experience, and then you go, wow. Marshall says, I'd be crying after I finish with her because I know where I'd be headed next. Damien says there are 3 sides to every story. I'm wondering what side of the story would justify you kicking a child in the back. Darlene says, Sandy, my school days, I saw many kids getting whipped by teachers. I guess back then that was permitted. But did that include kicking you? Jim says there's a lot of people walking the place in sheep's clothing. Miss Carla, she's apparently a real bully in her schools. She's been at various schools. And of course, I mean, like I said, I don't know. I don't have an experience with her in that regard. But one thing I do know is the Department of Education, the ministry, doesn't deal with these teachers who complaints are levied against and who are bullies. They just keep moving them from one school to the next. Anytime you see a teacher being moved around, normally there's complaints and there's problems, but the ministry won't do nothing about it. Symphony says, God don't lie. He's showing the truth now. Just open your eyes. Wow. Unbelievable. All right, let's talk about other types of gangsters. I feel like we've been talking about gangsters all morning. It's just that we haven't defined them as that because they're not the ones, they're not the type of gangsters or like in the streets with a gun blazing down the place, but they're different types of gangsters. So, you know, after the banana incident, the police have been very, very vigilant, trying to, you know, they made several arrests. The young man who made the video, obviously it's not a video that we can, that was Savannah Primary. It's not a video that we can play on air. There was so much profanity in it. And then there was another video that came out of Jamaica about it, where the Jamaican people had something to say, the Jamaican gangsters. What a mix-up of a situation. What I want to say about this is, without a doubt, we have our homegrown gangsters. They are commingling with gangsters overseas, I guess, where they can. And it's a recipe for disaster. But every single one of these wannabe gangsters for real, whatever, you guys know who they are. They're your children, right? They're your nieces, your nephews. Because, yeah, we got some female gangsters too. They're hanging out with these little bad boys. Remember that young lady, Haley, who claims that she wants a job and she would like me to help her find a job. And she wanted us to take down that video of her stealing. Apparently, Haley likes to hang out with these gangsters all the time. And somebody sent me a video of her this week saying, you remember Miss Sandy when she told you, when you asked her, will she be smoking? Because you're talking about she going outside smoking. You know, you said, well, what is it that you be smoking? Because you can't be smoking people's stuff and showing up on the job. And she told you, no, she don't smoke like that. And then they sent me a video of her smoking. Y'all are so messy and so ridiculous. But the point that I want to make on this discussion is, yes, we have gangs in Cayman. We have wannabe gangsters and we have actual gangsters, right? They're out there doing the most and they're committing crimes and we need to get them off of the street. But more importantly, everybody who is family to these people, you know who they are. You know that your son is involved in robberies and other illegal activities. Some of you guys know that he is a member of this gang and, you know, Birch Street Hill gang and this gang and Savannah gang and Georgetown, Windsor Park gang, Windsor Park East, Windsor Park West. You guys are very much aware of who these persons are. And some of you as family members, I must admit that I look at you with a side eye, like a serious side eye, like cross-eyed with a side eye, because, you know, you stand in judgment of everybody but your own family members. I'm just saying. I remember when I heard the name of this young man, I don't know who he is, the one who did the video, I have no clue who he is. Somebody said, oh, but that's so-and-so's nephew from West Bay. And I said, oh, that's his aunt. That's who those are his people? I said, oh, but she live up in church and she sit down talking about, oh, this family member wants to marry a Jamaican and wants to get pregnant by a Jamaican. I'm like, that's her concern? Maybe her concern should be her nephew, who's a gangbanger and making threatening videos to people. Maybe she needs to pull her nephew aside and have a conversation with him about, why are you engaged in this kind of behavior? Maybe you need to lay some hands of prayers and another kind of hand on him to try and get him to straighten up. You know, they're out there marching in the streets against the LGBTQ community, like, oh, you know, gay people. I remember one of the last conversations I had with this woman a couple of years ago. I was covering a protest for equality that was there, and you know, that's my job, is to cover these things. And she was driving by, you know, peeping on the protesters on the other side. And because I was there covering this for news purposes, well, you should be ashamed of yourself out here giving these people attention. I looked at her and I said, honey child, what you, yes, that same fool. You know exactly what we're talking about. This person just mentioned her name. She said, she's mad. I said, what you need to do is you need to stop pretending to be a Christian and shut the up. I mean, that's what you should really be doing. Don't be saying those things to me in the street, Naida. Okay. And when I realized who this is, I'm like, damn, you know, some of our families have a lot of dysfunctionality. And this is where I'm so shocked at how righteous these people want to be. And they always take the front pew in church. How is it that you have all these family members who are no good? I'm just saying, y'all are supposed to be such a good family and such Christians and such this and that. But all of your nephews are going to be gangbangers and women beaters and abusers? Like, what the hell? As much as y'all love Jesus and love the good Lord and love the churches and wear your skirts down to the ground, dragging in the ground, you mean to tell me that you have not managed to raise a single boy in the family that's any good? How many of them up in Northwood Prison for killing people already? The cousins and the this one, that one. It's like there's something inherently wrong when all of your family members are gangsters and gangbangers and murderers and rapists and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just saying that maybe spend less time in church and spend more time in your families, right? And sort out that mess of a situation instead. I'm just making some suggestions. Stop worrying about what these other people out there doing. Talking about, she said, yeah, she better. How you know that that's the situation with the Jamaican? Lord Jesus. You spot on. Yep. Instead of you worrying about what an adult woman is doing because she got a Jamaican boyfriend or husband or whatever, what you need to do is worry about all these young men in your family who have managed to gone off the rails. Offer them some guidance, some intervention. That was my suggestion. This one says, I believe this is her. Now you know them Bajans or the white people of the Caribbean and going to Carnival in Bad Banu to tell the Bad Banu girls are all going to hell. Hypocrisy. What a mess. They're going to Bad Banu to tell them they're going to, what the hell? No, sir. No, TD. No, that's not gonna work. Anyway, that would be my recommendation. It's such a shame that a lot of our boys, and I don't know how they found themselves in this situation. You know, do y'all believe that some of these people are just born bad seeds? I mean, I don't know. But I think we have to admit that it comes down to parenting and lack thereof. So, you know, the sometimes, yeah, the father was a good guy, but maybe you were just not around enough. And you just didn't spend enough time with your boys to teach them some good principles and that they don't get involved in certain activities. You know, I think both boys and girls, for lack of love and discipline, will go sideways. They'll get into all sorts of nonsense real quick. You know, you got to really take these boys under your wing, so to speak. And, you know, just be a bit more understanding of them as well. Not everybody going to live up in church, and you don't have to live up in church to be a good person. All right. So y'all be trying to drag them to church and beat them up with the Bible. They can be good people. You see, this is when you tie your morality in to, like just Christianity, right? If that's the only way that you can be a good person, you got a problem. You don't have to be a murderer just because you're not a practicing Christian. If you have a strong moral compass, there are just some things that you cannot bring yourself to do. It's bold, and it might be a first in Cayman, to actually see people get on social media and start to put threats out there in such a public way. It's also very, very stupid for you to do that because, I mean, you think you got your face covered and you're using somebody else's, Instagram account to be able to do this. I can assure you that none of that will be helpful to you. The police know exactly who you are. Everybody in the community knew exactly who you were the second you released that video. So you're also not the brightest, I must admit. Ay, ay. Anyway, turn your nieces and nephews and children into the police, honey child. That's the best thing for them, is my recommendation. Gabby says bombastic side eye, criminal offense side eye. Marshall says everyone knows who some of these wannabe gangsters are, but keeps quiet until something serious happens to them, and then they want to speak about having a heart. Raymond says preach. Symphony says we still don't have equal rights. I don't know what you was supporting. More like better rights. Lord Jesus. Marshall says some of these so-called Christians have some of the worst family members, but they're too busy worrying about other people when they should focus on their own madness. Carlos says church has nothing to do with drug dealing. Well, I'm saying if you don't have a moral compass, you will get involved in all sorts of different activity. To be quite frank, that is criminal. So church might have nothing to do with any of it. All right, honey child. Yeah, do better. Do better. That would be my recommendation. Someone made a note that some of them are first cousins, and then the first cousins' children are all in jail. One parent that they're mentioning, she's always defended her son. He's in jail, must be for life. And she's still defending him, but he didn't do it. He's lost every single appeal, and she's still there claiming he didn't do it. If you as a parent cannot see that your son, viciously killed an innocent man, which not for nothing, but in this particular case that I'm thinking of, the same parents and the same aunts and whatever, it's so shocking when you put the pieces of the puzzle together. They're out there talking about, it's a sin to be gay, this and that, and whatever. What you didn't tell anybody is the fact that your son, before he killed that homosexual man, actually had sexual relations with him. That's one of the ways in which they caught him, despite him trying to burn the body. They found his semen in the man's behind. There's only one way that could have happened. Okay? So you having sex with a man, and then got turned around talking about you hate gay people, and your mama hate gay people, and your aunt hate gay people, and y'all protesting in the streets about Christians against gays, and this is what your son was doing? And then turn around and murder the man afterwards? Huh. Seems to me that you got way more problems than worrying about gay people. I'm just saying. But y'all don't want to talk that. What a mess. That's all I'm saying. Y'all need Jesus in the worst kind of way. Anyway, that's what it is. And sadly, you have never been able to tell your son that he's done something wrong, because you're still, all these years later, you're still claiming that your son is innocent? Wow. In what universe does killing a man and setting his body on fire make you innocent? I'm just saying. All the courts have turned on all the appeals. Yep, he did it. and you still out here feigning ignorance and pretending that your son is a good person. Now, I get it. I guess if it's your only child, you're going to try to support him no matter what. But you can support your child and still tell them that they're wrong. Can you not? Huh. I mean, I think that as a parent, it is actually your responsibility to tell your children once they have done something wrong. Some of you need to actually pull your support from your children as well if they continue to do wrong. Because it's one thing to say, hey, if you take accountability for your actions, yes, I'm your mother first and foremost, and I will be by your side. When you finally get out of jail, I might be 105, but I'm still going to be here for you, ready to cook you your favorite turtle stew dinner and whatever. But if you can never even admit that your child has done anything wrong, like you're supportive in the wrong kind of way, that's not helpful to your child. And from the perspective of this good community that we're trying to live in, I can also tell you that it is not helpful for the community at large. So get your shit together, in other words. Ms. Darlene says, Sandy, nothing is wrong with raising children to go to church. Let's face it, having morals is usually because the church or believe in high power. And in my opinion, with all due respect, Ms. Darlene, the two have nothing to do with each other. I know some people who've never stepped foot in a church. In fact, they may not even believe in God. And they have a much better moral compass than those who knock down the church door every single day. You know the saying that going to church doesn't make you holier than thou. It doesn't make you a Christian. And even people who profess to be Christians sometimes leave a lot to be desired. It's not, you can have a moral compass without ever touching a Bible, without ever reading the Bible, without even having an understanding of it. Hunter, Marshall says he killed him to keep him quiet. He was trying to cover it up. Yes, I believe so too. Because apparently he didn't want people to know that he actually enjoys having sex with men. Because heaven forbid his mother knew that, she might have a fit. Hunter says some of you need to go to church. Amani says it's a sin to encourage your kids when they do wrong as well. Absolutely. Symphony says, boy, what a funny story. It's a sad story is what it is. Jim says some parents are their children's worst enemy by enabling them. Morning, Leanna. You late to class this morning? You missed a lot, honey child. Hit that rewind button. Marshall says that is what's wrong now with her children. Their parents are supporting their bad and reckless behavior. Symphony says, Sandra, do you think drug dealers and these thugs are a threat to anyone if you don't know who they are? So if they're a threat to anyone, if you don't know who they are, well, they're a threat to the entire society. Yeah. Debbie says, I don't go to church, but I love God. Hunter says, why we need the Cayman Islands Regiment to step up to the plate and start taking some of our young men and women in and give them some good discipline and training. Well, they can sign up for the regiment. The regiment can't force anybody to join, but the regiment requires people who are already disciplined, to be quite frank. Maybe what you're talking about is the cadet corps. That exists and that might help them. So that's for youth people, and the regiment isn't for underage people. And by the time you wait till these guys are 18, 19 years old, I hate to tell you that it's probably pretty well on the path of being too late already. Leanna said, I just witnessed a toddler kick his mother and she never done anything about it. Like telling a child no is going to stop the problem. Debbie says they are a threat to everyone. So Leanna, just let me understand what you're saying. When you said she didn't do anything about it, but you're saying like telling the child no. So she told the child no? You mean she didn't put her hands on the child? So it's not that she didn't do anything about it. It sounds more like you didn't like the response. Mm-hmm. What a hot mess. I tell you. Okay. What does this person say? Dr. Samurai. What is that? Oh yes. Oh my God. Yeah. I saw that video yesterday. What country was that, by the way? I was trying to figure out where that was. Was that Dominican Republic? Where they're chopping each other up with a machete? Did y'all see that? This person said, I worked with a Bajan bitch a couple years ago, and trust me, she didn't get pelt down 4 steps of stairs or licking her head with a stapler because I have children to feed. They're going to say, is that Lost Hunter? Lord Jesus. Hot mess. Yes, sir. Anywho, all right, folks. Thank you very, very much for tuning into the show today. Just a reminder that we'll probably do open mic tomorrow because unfortunately, Miss Marla, who was going to be our guest, Miss Marla Dukran, has had to cancel because she's got a family emergency situation that she's dealing with. So we wish her well, and I'll certainly let you guys know when she is rebooking for this show. Tomorrow is Friday. I feel like I need a little trip. I should go away tomorrow. Anywho, y'all have a fantastic day. We'll see you back here on tomorrow morning. Okay, now. Be good.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.